won't be the same, dear, if you're not here with me. When those blue snowflakes start falling, that's when those blue memories start calling. You'll be doing alright with your Christmas of white. I'll have a blue, 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 blue Christmas. I'll have a blue, 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 blue Christmas.
Stay connected through The Link each morning on Breeze 93.9 FM.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. Lights fill the streets, spreading so much cheer. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe. I don't wanna miss out on the holiday, but I can't stop staring at your face. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe with you, shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe. Everyone's gathering around the fire, chestnuts roasting like a hot July. I should be chilling with my folks, I know, but I'ma be under the mistletoe. Word on the street, Santa's coming tonight. Reindeer's flying through the sky so high. I should be making a list, I know, but I'ma be under the mistletoe with you, shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe. With you, shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe. Hey love, the wise men follow the star, the way I follow my heart, and it led me to a miracle. Hey love, don't you buy me nothing, 'cause I am feeling one thing. Your lips on my lips. It's a merry, merry Christmas. It's the most beautiful time of the year. Lights fill the streets, spreading so much cheer. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe. I don't wanna miss out on the holiday, but I can't stop staring at your face. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe with you, shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe. Kiss me underneath the mistletoe. Show me, baby, that you love me so. Oh, 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 oh. Kiss me underneath the mistletoe. Show me, baby, that you love me so. Oh, 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 oh. With you, shawty, with you, shawty, with you, under the mistletoe.
Chris and Sabrina with The Link. here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Lung
The Link. Here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird. Here to stay is that new bird. He sings a love song as we stroll along, walking in a winter wonderland. Snowman and pretend that he's Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say no, man, but you can do the job while you're in town. Later on, we'll conspire as we drink by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made. Walking in a winter wonderland. Walking in a winter wonderland. Walking in a winter wonderland. Walking in a winter wonderland.
Rosinha uli di sombranza tanmak Etzuita saluda antes de niga Radzaldzan malak estrezas durante todo el memu a nogi distancia como kupugi palu zaniman malak guafi ikonum nasugi airi prebatu la noci nai banderata Gaigi, pues atan fanny bandera, kau esta pagua pumalalapa, giluk tanu man libri, centamiti. Man ko badi
Fanogi tamoru purita nota kantai matu nanyagi toru ilugat para honra para gloria Abiba is la sin para honra para gloria Abiba is la sin para todo y tiempo y paz para hita dan gini langit na bendition Conchai peligro na fan sofuham Zeus protegis languahon Conchai peligro na fan sofuham Zeus protegis languahon
Osaina, Oaniti, Ninumari, Amin, Eskuntan,
dan suabena kumpas Gloria astus gilangit dan parai tau-tau pas Gloria astus gilangit dan parai tau-tau pas Gloria astus gilangit dan parai tau-tau pas Ekuluki kantaniniha nagai gigi unestablo Ibizang gita belen Ininyo na'y mafanyago Ibizang gita belen Ininyo na'y mafanyago Ibizang gita belen Ininyo na'y mafanyago Gloria astus gilangit Gloria astus gilangit O tau-tau Israel siha basta manangis sa motus tay Mesias pagunahani sa motus tay Mesias pagunahani sa motus tay Mesias pagunahani Usizata adora irai manrai siha Tatuna janta onra ilahin Zeus magahe Tatuna janta onra ilahin Zeus magahe Tatuna janta onra ilahin Zeus magahe Gloria astus gilangit Gloria astus
Good morning, Guam. Right on. 624. Good morning, Bree.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jason Solis.
Good morning.
Ladies man extraordinaire. Joe Sir
It
with
is
the.
a good morning.
It is a great morning. It's a little cloudy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But man, good weather yesterday. Santa Maria and Camelin made
Amen.
again her third pilgrimage around the island. Nothing but positive feedback about it, what it meant to everybody, and thank you guys for joining us. Joe Sir actually went outside. Did you guys catch it? I know you guys were shooting a a segment. Were you inside?
I didn't get to catch it yet.
Okay, Joe Sir did. He went outside and he said it was very moving.
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Right, Joe Sir?
But I saw it through you guys, seeing how you guys reacted when you saw it on the stream. I felt like I was right there.
Mm-hmm. And we actually did an interview. It was I produced Nestor's interview, and he interviewed the Lieutenant Governor, Josh Tenorio,
Nice.
and he, before we even started recording, he said he wanted to say how wonderful he thought that was and how much it meant, and he was even one of the people. He said, I hope they continue in this format
Totally.
for the next few years, because he
Yeah.
goes, this is great.
But I think for the next year, they should do it a little bit different, because she hasn't made any stops. She's just going through, right, basically doing a drive-by around the whole island. But I think our lady Santa Maria Cumberland, she deserves to see like the sights and the treats of the South. Especially like the pickles, the empanada. They need to stop at the store and like just stock her up when she's going around the island, because that's part of going around the island. Is you always right? Just saying. Treat
Now-
Our Lady.
Now, what you probably saw if you were watching like the live stream, we went to it several times. Joe Sir did. Great job, Joe Sir. But Bree and I were noticing when our Blessed Mother made her way through Mercy Heights into Mooning.
Yeah.
Bree and I have actually done like a couple live streams there, and we're like, we know that road isn't exactly like
Yeah, that's a tough
flat
one.
and
Yeah.
flawlessly laid, asphalt.
Right on,
It's
yeah.
quite bumpy.
It is.
And there's
I
a
wonder
few
if that's where the St. Anthony statue was driving
Ooh.
through and it fell. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. Totally.
But that's a bumpy road.
It is. Yep.
And again,
yeah,
some of the
for
villages
sure.
she was going through, like the smaller villages like Maina, Agania Heights. There's one road through the entire ville.
Yeah.
And can you imagine though being the
Who
driver?
drove her? Like whoever drove her, they need a medal.
That's my point exactly. Can you imagine being in a car on Guam driving for 9 straight hours at 25
Come in.
miles
Can
per
you
hour?
let Betty in? Shout out to Betty Ann Guerrero. Thank you, Betty Ann Guerrero, for bringing us coffee this
Thanks,
morning.
Betty.
Thank you, Betty. 635
Hey, look at
5836. She's a runner, which
Take
is
'em
why
out.
she's very sexy. Thank you, Betty.
Sexy Betty.
She's so humble, but she's also the sweetest person in the world. Hello.
Are we talking about the same lady? JK,
She's
JK.
also about to come in here and
yeah.
show you what a great right hook she's got.
Oh yeah, it's 627 Pacific Point,
Oh,
Scavo
look at
Enterprises,
this. Oh.
ITD, and Jack in the Box.
And you know what? Shout out to our friends at Island Girl Coffee. We did a story
Island
about them the
Girl.
other day. They have a new location in Dedido. So congratulations.
All
to
right,
them.
that's right. And yeah, we got some coffee this morning. Good morning, guys. Senator Chris Duenas, the Minority Report this morning. Also, GDOE Superintendent John Fernandez. It's a makeup day for him because yesterday was a holiday. And then Samantha Titan. They're doing something at Manetlu that we're going to tell you guys about coming up here on the show. And also, we are going to give you a chance to share with us who you count on in your life. We've been getting some good calls about this.
Yeah.
Today we have got not one,
Well,
not two,
well,
but 3 prizes.
wow.
We are
Whoa.
giving away. If you will share your story with us, if you would honor us with telling us who you can count on in good times and bad, there is no wrong answer. All you got to do is honestly tell your story. And we've had some really, really wonderful, heartfelt stories so far. The first prize we're giving away, a gift certificate to none other than the Hilton Guam Resort.
Nice.
That is nice. And Shell Gas.
Whew.
Second one, we'll send you over to Pyology and the gas to get you there.
Oh, yeah.
And third, Honolulu Coffee Company.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, they got a one kind of coffee. They grind them.
When was the last time you guys went to Hawaii?
I went on one layover.
Yeah, I passed through in 2015.
Yeah.
I only go airport.
You only go airport,
Only go
but,
airport.
but I won't leave them with this accent.
Your pigeon accent is like spot on.
Pretty okay, huh?
Yeah.
You like beef?
Oh, no. I like chicken, brother. Beef no good for the high blood.
Okay, can I ask you guys something about the Great Aloha State? Where do
I'm
you
trying
guys
to think of all those Brant things that he used to say.
Yeah,
I like
Brant.
beef.
Yeah, because Brant McCready you guys remember Brant McCready, former senator Brant
long
McCready?
time KUM sports director?
Yeah, he used to stay from Hawaii, always dropping a Hawaii-isms.
It's so funny because people
The
just
pine.
Yeah.
people just know us from like our TV personas, right? People do not know, and I'm not calling out Sean because he's a really good friend of mine, but people don't know that Sean's got a little bit of a stuttering. It's not even a problem. He just stutters like a little bit, Sean Gumatauta. And it's because, like me, your brain works faster than your mouth. But all the years
Your
I was
brain
watching,
works.
Sean's in the Zoom room, by the
Yeah.
way.
So probably,
Yeah, Sean.
or Sean's outside and he's gonna show me his right hook, right?
He's gonna be like, yeah,
No.
hey, you know, I referee wrestling.
Before I started KUM, I watched Sean and Bree on the air for years, and I thought Sean was like, so eloquent and like so professional in his delivery. And then when I was, hanging out with him and talking to him, and I was like, wow, he stutters like every once in a while, but you can control it. And Brant, everybody knows, he's like, hi, Hoffaday, everybody, and how's it? I'm Brant McCready, and here's what's coming up in sports. Tragic news today as the all-pro linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs, Derek Thomas, tragically passed away today. We'll have more on that. And then when I talked to him, he's like, hey, Jace, hey, man, you play volleyball. Volleyball's only for girls, bro. And there's a lot about
This was back then when volleyball was only for girls.
Yeah. And Brant's like,
Was the
bro.
90s.
And by the way, Brant, a former Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
He did have a contract.
He was also a former amateur boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a Gold Glover.
Yeah. I'm just saying that because I did a video boxing with him and I totally got laid out, and that's why, is because he was he was a amateur. He was pretty much pro.
Brant's funny story. He actually did have a contract to be on the pitching staff of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the guy that bumped him was a gentleman by the name of Gary Sheffield,
Oh, I know Gary Sheffield.
who is
yeah.
probably going to be in Cooperstown one of these days.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but yeah, so Brant.
But Brant also played GML here and
Mm-hmm.
MFL. Yeah.
He also played on the news team's dodgeball team.
Oh yeah.
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 Oh.
I mean,
That was so much
and
fun.
okay,
Brant was like
boxer,
the prototypical jock. I mean,
boxer,
right? You don't
quarterback,
get-
and,
yeah.
and Major League Baseball caliber pitcher. That dude had an arm.
Yeah.
I've seen that guy like throw, and Brant wasn't even throwing like full force, and basically concuss like some people in
Yeah.
dodgeball. I mean, that cannon of an arm.
Yeah, and
That
so
used to be so much fun just to like watch.
yeah,
Just
watch him
man,
take
that's
people out. Yeah. He was I don't know if bully's the right word.
And you know what's funny?
Maybe it is.
The day he actually met his beautiful wife, Dina Quasito, she went
Yeah.
to GW,
I
right?
went to school there.
Yeah, I went to UOG. He came back, and because Brant was covering. Remember that event that the airport had?
Yeah.
It was what was
There was something happening at the airport.
you
and then
you make these like flying contraptions, and then they launch them
Birdman
out from
rally.
Beach.
Oh yeah, the Birdman. I remember that.
So Brant comes back into the office about like 11 o'clock. He comes up to me.
Birdman.
He's like, hey Jace. I'm like, hey, what's up, Brant? He's like, bro, cause I just met my wife, bro. And no, seriously. I mean,
No, I remember.
Brant's
It was real.
accent. Well, ask these guys. Brant's accent will really come out. He's born and raised Honolulu, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, really? Then he goes, bro, I think she said she knows you, Dina. I was like, oh, Dina, yeah, she's from Agana Heights, a really, really nice girl. And he went on to marry her. They have beautiful children.
Yeah.
They have a wonderful home. They've done business together and everything like that. Really happy at Brant's success.
Right.
But okay, now here's what I wanted to ask about
Okay.
Honolulu.
Wait, no. So going back, yeah, because it's actually started with the whole other
you know
subject.
what? We should bring back like just do interviews with some of our former, catch up with some of our former
Yeah.
employees.
We should
Sounds
just do
good.
we should do a podcast and just preface it by saying a lot of what you hear we probably couldn't put out over the regular air because we're gonna tell some stories.
Story time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, but when it comes to Hawaii, right? Do you guys really, really like the Honolulu International Airport? Because a lot of people don't. I do. I think it's beautiful. You go there, it's open air.
It sucks.
Really?
Sucks. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
you
restaurant.
walk- no, you
would
walk
think
out of the-
you would think in the 2000s they would have better like places to eat because usually when you go to Hawaii you're hungry, especially since they don't feed us anymore on the plane. By the time you get to Hawaii, you're like, oh my god, I'm starving. And there's that one place. There's a Burger King that have Whoppers, but then there's like another place
Yeah,
with
they got Quiznos,
the
they got-
$80 sushi or something.
Yeah.
But it's also muggy, right?
What's a muggy?
It's muggy,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's one way you can look at it. I like it because, like it's open air. So
Yeah.
as soon as you come out of the arrival terminals, it's like, oh, wow, you look down, you feel like, the island breeze. Diamond Head is over there.
Oh, brother,
Waikiki's.
Diamond Head will stay right there on the
Yeah.
leeward
I don't
side.
know. I've been through there.
And then they
a
got the
couple of
Hawaiian
times
music
and
pumping through.
You're right. I guess I don't know if it's just the timing, but
Yeah.
everything is closed
Yeah.
and it's muggy and
And you're
then you
usually
have to walk. I don't know if it's
It's
just
a
because
long
of
walk.
COVID,
Yeah.
but you got to walk so far just to get to the other side and
and usually when you stop in Hawaii, you're going somewhere else. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, let's get out of here.
Okay, well, Elizabeth Agigi, who is a resident of 808, of course, Eva Beach, right? She goes, it needs remodeling. I think
Yes.
that's absolutely fair. And Sean Gumatata goes, good morning from Talafofa, all you guys. Thanks for sharing, Jason. So I'm glad. So you're welcome, Sean. Happy
Yeah,
holidays.
thanks
to
for
you.
sharing that, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or more like, thanks for sharing, Jason. I'll meet you out in the parking
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, hey, good morning, our Facebook Live audience. We're also on the Breeze 93.9.
I love Hawaii International Airport. I think it's big, but it's not super big that you can't walk around in it.
I think our airport is really nice.
Our
Yeah, it
airport
is.
is gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I have never had ambitions to work for the public sector, but I've told you, Bree, many times over the years, and I was like, if I was ever, I mean, and this is theoretical, right? Actually, let's play this game now.
Did you just say you want to work in the public sector?
If you guys were ever going to take over an agency and say, like, you have to run this agency for a month, a year, whatever like that, if Gov Guam was just that daring and let you.
Governor's office.
If it were up to me, I would run the airport.
Done.
Yeah.
I would
Go
run the
big or
airport.
go home.
Oh, so you would be at Adelup?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why waste your time with anything else?
No,
Go
I'd be at
straight to
the
top.
airport. I think it's fantastic. It's a beautiful facility, really, really well. And I remember the old days when we would have to go to the old, the what's now
Yeah,
the Wampat,
I remember that.
that airport.
Well, you guys remember that? You must be old.
What was that? What was that airline that used
What
to?
was over there anyway? Huh?
What was that airline that used to
Nothing.
come in, Chris? it's now out of business, but the old one.
Pan Am.
Pan Am, yeah.
Yeah.
My dad took many flights there.
Thanks, Jay, for it was called Pan Am. Good morning. It's 6:37.
That was an open air airport too.
Elizabeth Aggie says, I used to work at the airport. I know it inside out. Needs major remodeling. Inner Island has a nicer terminal.
I just love the Hawaiian music that comes through the AV system too. It's
Tony Martinez, good morning, Guam. Rosemary Laguatnia, good morning. We do have a birthday here, guys, coming from Bevtest J. Solis. She would like to wish, who is it here? She would like to wish her son, Joaquin Solis, a happy 16th birthday. A solid 16 is what we say when it's a boy. Are you guys ready?
Yeah. Wait, should we do this in Hawaiian style?
No, we're okay.
Happy birthday to you. No? Okay.
Ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Joaquin Solis. And everyone else whose birthday it is today, too.
Who hit the big 1-6.
That's
Happy
it, solid
birth-
16. to
Happy
you.
birthday to you.
May the dear Lord bless you. May the dear Lord bless you.
May the dear Lord bless Joaquin Solis.
And everyone else whose birthday it is today, too.
Happy birthday to you. And shout out to Hawaii International Airport.
Right on, 6:38. Let's go ahead and get into our first look at news here on the link. It's brought to you by Pacific Points, and here with the very latest from the KUAM News team, the one and only Sabrina Salas-Mazzanotti. Good morning, Sabrina.
Off it, everybody. A jury has unanimously found former Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority legal counsel Mark Smith guilty on over 30 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, theft of government property, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and engaging in monetary transactions with proceeds of specified unlawful activity. In March 2017, Smith, along with Glenn Wong, were indicted by a federal grand jury. Smith was Gore's legal counsel and was collecting funds as a landlord for the Section 8 program. He concealed his conflict of interest by transferring his properties to Wong. Wong would distribute the money in various methods to pay Smith's credit cards, loans, and other obligations. Smith is scheduled to be sentenced on March 8th at 9:30 in the morning. Following the reading of the verdict, however, defense attorney Mike Phillips indicated that he will file a motion for judgment of acquittal. Attorney Phillips has 14 days to file that motion. An indictment handed down 3 months ago has been unsealed after federal officials finally took into custody Rebecca Rose St. Nicholas Morta yesterday. She was indicted back in September on drug charges. According to documents, Morta is accused of attempting to possess with the intent to distribute up to 50 or more grams of meth. The alleged crimes took place between January and February of last year. Morta is scheduled to be arraigned before federal magistrate Judge Michael Berdalio today. The Joint Information Center reports 7 people hospitalized for COVID. Out of the 7, 1 is on a ventilator and 1 is receiving ICU level of care. Of those patients, 5 are vaccinated, 2 unvaccinated. Public Health reports 4 new positive cases of COVID-19 out of 381 tests performed on December 7th. To date, there have been a total of 19,287 officially reported cases, 267 deaths, 269 cases are in isolation, and 18,751 people have recovered. The CAR score is 0.8. To date, a total of 126,611 of Guam's eligible population is fully vaccinated. This total includes 12,052 residents between the ages of 12 to 17. 3,626 residents 5 to 11 years old received their first dose of Pfizer, and 823 residents 5 to 11 years old have completed their 2-dose series. 30,471 booster shots have been administered to eligible residents. And in national news now, Dr. Anthony Fauci declared that Santa Claus has received his booster shot and is ready to go on his Christmas Eve sleigh ride. And with millions of Americans getting ready to come together for the holidays, Pfizer says a third dose of its vaccine is needed to protect against the Omicron variant. Natalie Brand reports.
Pfizer released new data showing a booster shot of its vaccine provides significantly more protection against Omicron compared to the initial 2-dose regimen.
If you get the booster, you're really in good shape. And so that's very encouraging. That's the lab report. That's the lab report. There's more study going on.
Doctors believe Omicron could be the dominant strain in the U.S. by January. So far, the data suggests the new variant may trigger less severe cases than Delta, but could be much easier to spread.
So if it's half as aggressive and twice as contagious, that means that you're going to get significant numbers of hospitalizations.
News of the new variant has led to a rise in people getting booster doses as well as first-time vaccinations. Here on Capitol Hill, a group of lawmakers is pushing for a vote to try and block a Biden administration rule that would require millions of American employees to get vaccinated or take weekly COVID tests.
As soon as today, our Republican friends are going to come to the floor to push an anti-science, anti-vaccine proposal to overturn the president's vaccine requirements for businesses with more than 100 employees.
At least 2 Democrats support the Republican measure, giving it a majority of support in the Senate.
They don't trust individuals, families, doctors, employers, and customers to sort things out for themselves.
But the move is largely symbolic, since it's not expected to get a vote in the House, and the requirement is facing challenges in the courts. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Public Health and GDOE will host a virtual town hall meeting at 6 p.m. tomorrow via Zoom. Public Health will facilitate presentations and address concerns of the community regarding the COVID vaccine. Participants will also be able to voice their concerns with GDOE. A survey by Public Health is being conducted for parents of elementary school-age students, which was sent out Tuesday by GDOE. Public Health Public Information Officer Janella Carrera says the purpose of the survey is to get parents and guardians' thoughts about their children getting vaccinated. Results, questions, and concerns collected throughout the survey will be shared at the virtual town hall meeting. Again, that is scheduled for this Friday. Meanwhile, public testimony regarding COVID-19 vaccination requirements and standard operating procedures, personnel rules and regulations, as well as weekly COVID testing were heard by the Guam legislature for over 4 hours during a round-table meeting held recently. Here's more with KUAM's Isaiah Uggen.
The virtual roundtable hearing lasted for about 4 hours and 40 minutes to be exact. Educators and parents expressed their concerns about the COVID-19 vaccination requirements for employees and weekly COVID testing. First, Patrice Tenorio, an unvaccinated GDOE employee who is a teacher at Agania Heights Elementary School, does not get tested weekly due to a medical exemption, but she shared her thoughts about the policies currently in place.
My concern is my colleagues are more than qualified to educate students, and they are being treated like criminals. And my coworkers, weekly testing under duress, feeling segregated from the rest of the staff. I've had my coworkers worried because they have headaches, nosebleeds, burning sensations in their nose due to weekly testing. Testing that should really be done for all employees, because data shows that both vaccinated and unvaccinated can carry and spread this virus.
Governor Lulian Guerrero implemented the requirements through an executive order in September, which states that those who do not comply shall be subject to disciplinary procedures, which may include disciplinary action. As a result, there have been 3 GDOE employees placed on annual leave. One of them being Millie Luhana Faison, now a former GDOE teacher at Agania Heights Elementary School as of Friday, December 3rd. She expressed her feelings about the requirements.
My heart is broken and my spirit shattered over the fact that I am being ordered to stay away from my students as if I was a common criminal. It has now been nearly 3 months since I haven't reported to work, since I haven't been able to teach my students. There has been no closure and every day is a struggle.
GDOE Superintendent John Fernandez reiterated that the learning institution is just being compliant with the island's chief executive.
This is not a GDOE initiative alone. We are actually an agency implementing an executive order of the governor, and with the guidance of the governor's office, public health, and Department of Administration.
Written testimonies are still being accepted for the next 10 working days. It can be sent via email to Senator T.C. Nelson at guamlegislature.org. Reporting for Guam's News Network, Guahusi Isaiah Ugan. Guam's News Network, Guahusi Isaiah Ugan.
Thanks, Isaiah. And now with more news, here is our Tyler Matanani.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Buenos San Hafa Day, everyone. I'm Tyler Matanani with your headlines here on The Link. Tragic news as a man in his 20s has passed away, a victim of a fatal fire. Hannah Devanzo reports.
Just before 5:30 Wednesday morning, 911 dispatch got the call.
It was a house fire, of course, with a single occupant. It was extinguished early this morning. 911 call was made by the family. And we extinguished it.
According to Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas, as firefighters made their way inside and extinguished the fire, they found someone inside.
They did find one body, one person within the structure. It was extricated and immediately transported to the hospital.
The man, who has not yet been identified, is described to be in his 20s. He was rushed to Naval Hospital in Agana Heights, with CPR being conducted by medics during transport.
At this point, for us, he is classified as a fire-related death, which triggers a couple of extra things for us, a more in-depth investigation.
San Nicolas says the Guam Fire Department does not suspect any foul play involved, but is still investigating what may have caused the fire. According to our news files, the last time the fire department investigated a fatal fire was more than 3 years ago. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Hannah Devanzo.
The Leon Guerrero administration has submitted its plan to pay out $10 million in local war claims. Acting Governor Josh Tenorio says proposed legislation has been forwarded to the legislature that sets out the implementation details, beginning with the creation of an adjudication committee to review the claims.
Basically, what we're proposing and providing for is that the adjudication committee is going to follow the same process that the federal commission did in adjudicating those claims. And the claim form is identical to the claim form that everybody else that had managed to file with the federal commission. It's identical.
The adjudication committee will set up offices at the Guam Museum, and the Department of Administration will process the payouts. Claim amounts will be based on the type of atrocities suffered, from injuries to rape to death. There are an estimated 700 war survivors that did not meet the December 2016 federal filing deadline. And Tenorio says the $10 million that's expected to be set aside for payments will be flexible.
But quite frankly, during the claims period of the application period, if there's going to be a need, then of course I feel, as does the governor, that we would meet that need. But I think that it's a pretty good estimate based on the experience that we've seen during the federal claims process.
Speaker Terlahi and others in the legislature want to expand the local war claims program to include all those who passed away prior to the federal cutoff date, so essentially all would be eligible.
There's a lingering issue for all of us. We feel incomplete about it, but we also have to be quite realistic about the amount of resources that we're going to be able to provide.
There is no additional funding for the program. It's all local money or federal reimbursements already due to Guam. Meanwhile, it was also not lost on Tenorio that this is the 80th anniversary of the Japanese attack on Guam that launched the brutal occupation. He says his grandmother, Marcy Franquez, was at the cathedral and was told to flee when they first heard of the bombings in Sumai.
At that time, she must have been only 15 years old, 16 years old. And what a situation to be in, right? But I was totally thinking about her and all of the Manumcos and the war survivors that are still alive, and how, at least the government And one of the things that we can unify on is, trying to make sure that we find a way to provide compensation for the folks that got left behind.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
The CNMI is in its first wave of COVID-19, and federal help arrived on the island to treat COVID-19 patients on Saipan. Tomas Manglotnia reports from the alternate care site.
Federal help is on Saipan to assist in containing COVID-19.
We were given the mission to help staff the monoclonal antibody clinic as well as the mass vaccination clinic. Here at the MAV, the monoclonal antibody clinic, we have 2 nurses, a paramedic, and 2 physicians that are here taking care of the patients that are brought in for their subcutaneous MAV treatment.
About 136 patient courses have been administered so far.
We are here to help augment and help support. We're not here to take over. We are not running in a silo. We're here to help you.
The treatment is available at the alternate care site at Kanoa Resort and the Saipan Hospital ER for those who present symptoms and test positive.
There's about 10 beds set up there right now, but there's the capacity here to really be able to expand that number if necessary. So people who desire to have this treatment done and get the monoclonal antibody infusion, this site is, or injection, is set up to be able to accommodate larger numbers.
They remind the community that the treatment is not a substitute for getting vaccinated.
We don't want you to be hospitalized. We don't want you to fill a bed. We want you to be able to get this treatment. And so there is a certain time frame for you to get it. And when you have those symptoms, that's basically your sign.
The team is expected to leave on December 14, but may extend their stay if frontliners need more help. Tomas Manglotnia for KUAM News on Saipan.
That's it for now. We'll see you tonight for KUAM News Primetime.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
The House passed the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act. The measure contains several critical provisions related to Guam. Aside from millions in funding for military projects, the 2022 NDAA also calls for an integrated air and missile defense system on Guam. The Defense Secretary would be tasked with identifying the architecture and acquisition approach for implementing a 360-degree integrated air and missile defense capability to defend Guam from advanced cruise, ballistic, and hypersonic missile threats. The NDAA now moves to the Senate. In regional news, the CNMI governor, through his legal counsel, objected to the subpoena issued by the House committee investigating his expenditures. According to their December 7th letter to the committee chair, Rep. Selena Babalta, they base their objection on 3 reasons. The governor is immune from testimony and protected by executive privilege. The subpoena does not serve a legitimate legislative purpose, and the subpoena was not issued in line with CNMI law or House rules. The Office of the Governor did invite the committee to a negotiation and accommodation process, which they requested to confer about on Friday, December 10th at 8:30 in the morning. In her response to the Office of the Governor, Chair Babalta agreed to confer at 9:30 in the morning, again tomorrow, in the House chamber to listen in good faith publicly. However, she says they expect the governor to appear at 10:30 in the morning that same day to testify. Quote, if he doesn't appear as directed, the committee will take appropriate measures to include, but not limited to, finding him in legislative contempt. She added that this is not a threat, but a cautionary notice to the governor and all other individuals who are subject to our lawful subpoena power. She added, for months, the governor has been longing for an opportunity to provide answers to the JGO inquiries. We are providing him the opportunity to address the JGO committee directly. Now is the time to show everyone that he truly has nothing to hide. She explained that their legal counsel and members find their objections to have no legal merit. On November 8th, Governor Torres wrote a scathing letter saying, we cannot allow perpetual harassment and obstruction of the legislative branch onto the executive branch to be a norm. He said he has done nothing wrong. At the end of his 2-page letter, he added, quote, no governor has experienced this level of harassment and slander in the history of the CNMI. The National Weather Service high risk of rip currents advisory remains in effect for Guam, Rota, Tinian, and Saipan through late tomorrow night. Large breaking waves up to 11 feet and dangerous rip currents are expected. Dangerous swimming and surfing conditions and localized beach erosion are also expected. Rip currents can sweep even the best swimmers away from the shore into deeper water. Inexperienced swimmers should remain out of the water due to dangerous surf conditions. Now, if you're caught in a rip current, do not swim against the current. Swim in a direction following the shoreline. Face the shore and call or wave for help. With more news now, here's Kin Conception.
Buenas tardes, to get something we can do tomorrow in the KUAM News. Presenta ni Familia Mizo, the First Hawaiian Bank. Aji tauta ni makonin seguidas para Naval Hospital después que masoni gumania gita totu sa matay. Masih alas 5:30 ginigap na ogan, manmati Guam Fire Department guatu guhin na guma sin San Cemento gi San Miguel Street. Mapedforma ay CPR gi itautaw, mantas makokoni guatu gi ospital. Itautaw sa kasi maski 20 anyos na edad. May bisita ka tayo ki masoni gima. Masa suntu, Ajin daik mani manahuzong 3 meses na tempo tati sama ansio anay oficial federal makon ilusutumus si Rebecca Rose and Nicholas Morta gi inigap. Bain daik si Morta gi September na mes pud bineno na inataki. Segoni dokumento ni Koti maataki si Morta na makikimanuli sa paro dispatsa and distribute maski 50 grama na methamphetamine. Ikinatradisi siya sa masisirigi Enero and Febrero na mes ki mapasansakan. Maskedyo si Morta pero ma-arraign gimenan ni magistrate si federal na West Michael Berdalio pago na ugaan. Yuto mo na sunto gifinot sa moro gin ni KUAM News para pago na Webes. I-house na ramas gi Congress ng Amerika sa mapasa di 2022 National Defense Authorization Act. Adun na biyo sa gwasya artikulo ni nabat gagwahan. Sayang ipod $1,000,000 na salapi siya para i-project militar. Adun na biyo sa paro managwahalo ko si Integrated Air and Missile Defense System ginigitagwahan. I-Secretary of Defense sa Mataria para identifika itaymano designa na gasto para ma-implementa ikapasidad niya as 360-degree integrated air and missile defense para defende islata kontra cruise, ballistic, dan hypersonic na animasaw siya. Adyo na bill sa sampi humanaw gatu gira masisenit gi i-Kongreso ng Amerika. Para Guam News Network, Guam si Kin Conception. Yasuto gifinut sa moro sa presenta sa ninafato ni Familia Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, where you get smart insights into your finances so you can make smart decisions with your money. With a daily personalized feed, you can compare your monthly income to spending. That's better. Discover where your money is actually going. You might be surprised. See what's essential and what isn't. The more you use the app, the smarter it gets. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city, featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC.
The Novena to the Christ Child, a podcast series on KUAM Communication, a local Christmas tradition reimagined with all 9 days available on demand on the KUAM Podcast Network, beginning December 6th and streaming on all our digital media platforms, as well as nightly at 7 p.m. on Isla Digital Radio.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Attention basketball fans, the wait is over. Clutch Guam presents the second annual McDonald's High School Basketball Classic, going down December 20th to January 8th at the Father Duenas Jungle. Make sure you come through to watch some high school boys and girls varsity division action. You do not want to miss out. Special thanks going out to KUAM Sports. We'll see you there.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutter, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
It's time to save on shipping. Support our local entrepreneurs. Find the best steals, deals, and unique products for your holiday shopping needs. The Christmas Pops virtual holiday marketplace is your hub for the best local gifts. Watch the Christmas Pops special airing through December 11th and streaming now across the stations and platforms of KUAM Communications. Visit KUAMChristmasPops.com and be on the lookout for local business profiles on our social media pages. Shop small and support local this holiday season.
Presented by UOG School of Business and Public Administration, JA Guam, inspiring youth, and the Guam Visitors Bureau, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Coors Light presents Uproar, the Sleigh Game Edition, Saturday, December 18th at Custom Fitness to compete head-to-head to determine who's the fittest. Visit guamtime.net to purchase tickets for $15. Visit us online. Special thanks to KUAM Communications, Boca Box, Custom Fitness, Kill Cliff, Cherry Media Vision, ERC, and A-Tech Construction. Proceeds to benefit the Guam Volleyball Federation.
Let's get merry during the most wonderful time of the year by making spirits bright. KUAM Communications and Coast 360 want to highlight your decorations and lights by flooding the social media pages of KUAM with your videos and photos. Finish your holiday setup, snap a few shots or video of your delightful display, and send it to us through social media or email them to promotions@KUAM.com. Check out our posts every Friday or tune in to KUAM News Weekend Edition for a special montage of the submissions certain to be making spirits bright with every broadcast. Warmest holiday wishes from KUAM Communications and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
Catch Sports Link on the KUAM News Morning Show, The Link, every Friday for the latest sports news, game schedules, athlete profiles, and more. Sports Link airs every Friday across the multi-platforms of KUAM. Tune in to the broadcast on Breeze 93.9 FM, on KUAM TV 11, live stream through the KUAM News Facebook page, or view highlights on YouTube, KUAM News Facebook, and Instagram page. Sports Link is brought to you by Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape. KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time off each Friday to talk, taste, and tempt you with all the latest and greatest food and drinks on Guam. Old faves, new hits, and everything else we can put in our bellies. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link, brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Devondale. Real milk from free grazing cows.
I didn't get screened because I was just afraid of it.
I procrastinated.
I didn't have any symptoms.
I didn't have insurance.
I didn't want to know.
There were several services that was available to me.
I got a mammogram.
Colonoscopy.
I know in my heart that early detection saved my life.
And I just tell people all the time, please go get screened.
Basically, my life was a revolving door of just getting drugs, using drugs. My name is Anne-Marie Sablan. I'm 26 years old and I'm a student at Guam Community College, about to graduate with my associate's degree in human services. Got my high school diploma with GCC's Adult High program. The staff there is very helpful. They're very friendly, and it became like a family dynamic. It's possible for anybody, especially people like me who struggle with addiction.
The holidays are here, and you know what that means. Time to gather with family and friends, dress up our homes, and explore the Christmas season in paradise. Why not share these moments for a chance to win $100 in cash? Log on to visitguam.com/Instaguam today to participate in the Guam Visitors Bureau's #Instaguam photo and video contest. A winner will be chosen every week, so share your best holiday moments now and win. Brought to you by GVB, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
Uno Mixed. We're mixing it up on the last Thursday of every month with a look at lifestyle, entertainment, food, and so much more on the stations, networks, and digital platforms of KUAM Communications.
Uno Mixed is presented to you by Docomo Pacific, Better Together, and Pepsi. That's what I like.
The world of television is more exciting than ever. Don't miss a minute of special presentations from NBC on KUAM TV 8 or from CBS on KUAM TV 11. Every month, we'll bring you the fun and excitement of award shows and red carpet moments, special series presentations, and other great network programs. Brought to you locally by King's Restaurant, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Docomo Pacific, giving you more reasons to tune in and turn on. Fall in love with TV again with the best from KUAM Communications.
Good morning, 706. She's often called the queen of Chamorro music, Flora Bazaquan.
And all hail the queen.
Singing about the queen. Good morning, it's 707, Thursday, December 9th. Jay, let's say someone maybe wanted to get the the jab, if you will, or a booster. But, you know, yesterday was a holiday.
Yeah.
So maybe they're thinking, oh, today's the day. Where would they go?
Well, yesterday they could have gone to UOG because UOG remained open even though the northern and southern public health centers were closed in observance of Santa Maria and Camalende. Today UOG is not operating because, and this is just normal because every day except Thursdays and Sundays, the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse in Minilal normally open as a vaccination center. So if you would like, you can go to tinyurl.com/COVID stops with me and you can make an appointment at the Northern Community Center, Northern Community Health Center up in Dedido, right there across the field, across the street from the legendary Hal's Angels Field. Or if you would like to make an appointment and you're down in Inalahan, you can make an appointment there as well. If you need to get tested, head over to Tizen and probably just try and see what the traffic is like. Of course, testing not as intense as it was a few weeks ago and everything like that. But if you need to get tested, if you're experiencing any sort of symptoms whatsoever, even if it's just like a slightly runny nose, like a scratchy throat and everything like that, get tested, know your status.
Right on. And they do the testing, was it Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Yeah.
So if you do need to get tested today, you can go to your clinic. Good morning.
And again, Daniel had that wonderful story about that mother who very graciously shared her story with us and saying, you know, this is why I believe that the vaccine is a good thing, and this is why I'm bringing, you know, my young child to go and get vaccinated.
Right. Yeah. We did hear about the child vaccination rates. Maybe not where public health wants them to be. So it's interesting, and I think it works out for people to hear those stories about like that mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they can kind of make a decision on their own. Jay, you know, as Christmas approaches, maybe a lot of people wishing that they were doing better financially.
Sure.
Struggling, back against the wall. Maybe they're late on their rent. Is there any program available? Maybe like, let's say, like a government assistance program?
There is. I know you're familiar with ERA. Because
ERA.
when you were
that's
baseball,
earned run average.
Yeah, when you were a baseball writer, and a very good one, by the way, at
thank
PDN, you used to write about that. But the ERA program, in more current times, refers to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And it is a service that the government provides to help you if you have had trouble making current rent payments, if you have what are called rent in arrears, meaning you just couldn't make it for one or several months and you've got bills stacked up.
Yeah.
Also, if you have trouble making your water and or power payments, even internet.
Even internet?
Everybody just thinks, okay, well, you know, Facebook, that's a luxury item. No, I mean, if you want to pay your bills, you want to check your kids' grades, you want to do, you know, online shopping, possibly even make your power and water payments, ERA covers that too. And if you happen to move during the pandemic, if you decided to go somewhere else, maybe it was cheaper, maybe you and your cousins were shacking up together to save some money and everything, but there are expenses with that. You might have to get a mover, whatever the situation
I think
is.
I heard Sabrina talking about this on the link.
Yeah.
Right?
And she was very good at it too.
Yeah, she was. So, Sabrina, when you apply for it, let's say, because this is like the third round they did it, let's say someone's rejected the first time or the second time, and maybe they're listening to this right now and they're just thinking like, oh, I don't even qualify. I was rejected last time. Should they still apply?
Yeah, everyone is encouraged to reapply because your financial situation may have changed in between the time that you initially applied and were rejected to the time, currently. So everyone is encouraged to please reapply. You never know.
What about when you turn in all your paperwork? How long does it take them to review your application?
The application review for pre-qualification, it takes about 5 days.
5 days? That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, 5 business days.
Now, are these 5 calendar days, 5 working days, 5
business
5
days?
non-holidays?
5 business days.
All right.
Got it. 5 business days?
5 business
So
days.
if you started yesterday, you could go outside and watch Santa Maria and Catalan pass by your house, your neighborhood, and everything. Go inside, fill out the application form, which you can check out at doa.guam.gov, or you can email it. Just fill out the PDF and email that to era@doa.guam.gov, and you should know by next Tuesday.
Right. And you can also call if you want more information. The number is 671-638-4518 or 4519. But you got to call between 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, this is a federally funded program. It's the Guam Emergency Rental Assistance Program.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for that information. And I did want to tell you guys that homeowners, right, are wondering about mortgage assistance or any type of assistance program for those who own other homes and aren't necessarily renting. And the last time I talked to Bernie Guinness of DOA, she said that the Department of Treasury was still reviewing the guidelines for our local homeowner assistance program that would also be federally funded. So keep listening to the link for details and information on that. It's 7:12 on this Thursday, December 9th. The show continues with the Minority Report featuring Minority Leader Senator Chris Duenas on the way right here. Good morning.
Pacific Points is
Basically,
giving
my
away.
life was a revolving door of just getting drugs, using drugs. My name is Anne-Marie Sablan. I'm 26 years old and I'm a student at Guam Community College, about to graduate with my associate's degree in human services. Got my high school diploma with GCC's Adult High program. The staff there is very helpful. They're very friendly, and it became like a family dynamic. It's possible for anybody, especially people like me who struggle with addiction.
The holidays are here, and you know what that means. Time to gather with family and friends, dress up our homes, and explore the Christmas season in paradise. Why not share these moments for a chance to win $100 in cash? Log on to visitguam.com/Instaguam today to participate in the Guam Visitors Bureau's #Instaguam photo and video contest. A winner will be chosen every week, so share your best holiday moments now and win. Brought to you by GVB, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
I didn't get screened because I was just afraid of it.
I procrastinated.
I didn't have any symptoms.
I didn't have insurance.
I didn't want to know.
There were several services that was available to me.
I got a mammogram.
Colonoscopy.
I know in my heart that early detection saved my life.
And I just tell people all the time, please go get screened.
Half a day. My name is Jesse Allig, and I'm the mayor of the beautiful village of Piti and the president of the Mayor's Council of Guam. Our mayors and vice mayors work on resolving many different issues throughout the day. Now, we're focusing our efforts to recruit 19 new foster families. The numbers vary, but we have hundreds of our own neglected and abused children in need of a home. Auntie Fina Tanatongo, a veteran foster mom, says, all you need is love. If you have a little room in your home and a lot of love in your heart, Please, join our campaign trail and call the mayor's office to find out how you can become a foster mom or dad. Help us give our children the gift of family.
This season, KUAM Communications is ready to go with more games, more championships, and more sports specials guaranteed to bring out the fan in you. Don't miss a minute of gameplay from NBC on KUAM TV8 or from CBS on KUAM TV11. We're bringing you all the action and excitement brought to you locally by Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape and Docomo Pacific.
Pacific Matters is a half-hour news, culture, and lifestyle show focused on issues that impact Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, and the larger Pacific region. Join Tomas Maglona every Monday to discuss politics, trends, and take a deep dive into the issues changing our island home, because what happens in the Pacific matters. The Culture Club returns to KUM Digital and KUM News Weekend Edition, highlighting Guam's young artists, activists, and crafters as they work to protect, preserve, and promote our Tomoto culture. Watch this weekly feature on the digital platforms of KUM News Weekend Edition, brought to you by Hanum, the freshest bottled water made in Guam.
Let's get merry during the most wonderful time of the year by making spirits bright. KUAM Communications and Coast 360 want to highlight your decorations and lights by flooding the social media pages of KUAM with your videos and photos. Finish your holiday setup, snap a few shots or video of your delightful display, and send it to us through social media or email them to promotions@kuam.com. Check out our posts every Friday or tune in to KUAM News Weekend Edition for a special montage of the submissions certain to be making spirits bright with every broadcast. Warmest holiday wishes from KUAM Communications and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
The KUAM Podcast Network is back and on demand, featuring a great variety of podcasts from our island and region, including culture, lifestyle, awareness, crime, politics, commentary, comedy, and entertainment. Available on most streaming platforms. The KUAM Podcast Network. Subscribe and listen now.
See what's on TV tonight with schedules, network news and notes, local promotions and giveaways on KUAM Communications social media pages. Like and follow us on Facebook or Instagram now for all the latest and never miss out.
The Link here on Breeze 93.9 FM.
Frosty the snowman was a jolly, happy soul with a corncob pipe and a button nose and two eyes made out of coal.
Hey, good morning, 718. Little Joe Guam and Frosty the Snowman here on the Link. Let's go to the phones. I think we have Lorraine on the line here. Hi, Lorraine. Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Flustered.
Okay, you're flustered. Please share with us why you are flustered.
Oh, because I'm waiting for the sped bus to get my autistic son on it. And I didn't catch the whole number to the ERA. So I wanted to just call and see if we could get help to pay for power and water.
Power and water. Bree, is there help for Lorraine?
That's Era. Here's the number. Do you have a pen?
Yeah, because, my husband was on a shutdown from COVID for 2 because at work in November, and also I think September or October. I don't remember, but twice he got shut down. So
what
it kind of like put us back
Yeah.
on our payments. So
What type of work does he do?
construction.
Ah.
Yeah, he's on Navy base, and it's kind of hard, especially when we have an autistic child. That's our grandchild, actually.
Wow. Bree's got the number, but just going back to this, the waiting for the special education bus, is it late a lot, ma'am?
Well, no. My son is very, how do you say, antsy when he sits in the car for a while.
Yeah.
He likes bus rides. He likes car rides since he was baby. So, any car that pulls up, he wants to get in and thinks he can go. So we have to be very careful with that with him. And also when we go out, so more than likely he stays in the car while we grocery shop. We don't go to the beach as much as before. We just go for car rides.
How old is he?
Around Guam. He's 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so he's stemming a cough right now, so I don't know if they're going to send him home.
Wow.
Because he stems a lot on stuff that is, when it comes out, and you don't normally do it all the time.
Yeah.
He ends up doing it again, just because it's something he hasn't done for a while. So
I want to ask about the special education, the services for your boy. Are you happy with does he go to public school?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Yeah, they were supposed to do a behavioral testing on him, but now they're asking me to go out and do it. That's hard right now. I thought they were going to help me with that because his autism is unique. It's not like the other ones I've seen, where they have to hold something all the time and rock. His curiosity is out there. He wants to try something new all the time. He tries to invent things with balloons. Tries to stick one into another one.
Sounds like a very creative.
His hand inside. Yeah. So I just let him create whatever, but he has to learn to pick it up and put it away, throw it away, which he does. He learns more visually than he does manually writing. He doesn't hold a pencil. We have a hard time making him hold a pencil, especially me at home.
Yeah. Well, even one of my boy Chase, he always had a hard time holding the pencil, and he still holds it weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope he should be in school, but
mine thinks of it as eating it.
Wow. Well, we all used to chew on pencils back in the day.
Yeah, so a lot of it is, and I don't have the resources to get a pad that helps him talk what he wants or, whatever. It's. I don't have those kind of resources to buy a gadget like that for him.
Sure, and I know you're struggling to keep the power and the water on too, right? So.
Yeah, for him, and even internet. So, it's all prepaid.
What about ma'am? Just because I know a special needs student, and during the pandemic, there were struggles that they had in getting the work from the class, and then when we weren't doing the face-to-face.
Oh, hard copy and online was a task, a trouble task for myself.
Yeah.
Trying to be the teacher for him, and a lot of my teaching to him is all verbal and chalkboard. I have to be with him on the chalkboard. If I let him alone for 5 minutes just to get his food or whatever, he's already scribbling, and then turn around, it's in his mouth. Like, oh, no. So I can't keep my eyes off him all the time. Wherever he's at, I need to know where he's at.
Well, that's really good. That's really good to hear. You definitely sound like you got a good hold on the situation.
Yeah. So, if you can hold for 1 minute. Let's go, Boo Boo. Your bus is here. Come on, my baby. Put your mask on. And we have a hard time putting his mask on.
I'm sure, right? Yeah.
Okay, now let's go. Come on, bus. Mr. Darrell's here.
We do have that number, ma'am.
Yeah, hold on. Let me
Okay,
just get
you
him
got
on
it.
the bus
Yeah, of
real
course.
fast.
Right on. 725 right here on the link.
I know it's 633 or 6.
638.
I only caught the first 3 numbers.
638.
Thank you, Mr. Darrell. 638.
4518 or 4519.
4518 or 4519. Yeah, I cannot do anything on computer. I'm not a computer. I don't own one.
Yeah.
And my phone is not available for the capacity is not able to go online. So I can't do that either.
Well, you can call, and I think you only call between 8 and 4.
Yeah, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Yeah, lucky if I have somebody answer, because, everybody doesn't answer.
Let us know, though, okay, Lorraine? So go
Yes,
ahead and call
thank you
today.
very much.
And then, maybe after your boy gets on the bus tomorrow, you can call back and check in with us and let us know how it went.
All right. Thanks, Chris and Sabrina.
All right.
I
Thank
love you
you.
guys. I listen to you every morning.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, I
Appreciate
just
you sharing your story with us, too.
Yeah, my boy is very important to me, so.
Yeah.
We could
he's my
definitely
baby.
tell that. Yeah. Well, thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you. I
Thank
hope
you.
it
You
works
have a good
out.
morning and
You
Merry
too.
Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Biba Belen.
Right
Viva.
on.
I
Viva!
miss the Belens. I miss Corpus Christi. I miss all of that.
Yep. Well, maybe next year.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Okay,
Lorraine.
God bless you.
That's
Take care.
Bye.
Just 727. Yeah, that number again, it's 638. Well, 671, remember?
Yeah, 671-638-4518 or 4519. That is for the Guam Emergency Rental Assistance Program that's going to help you with your rent, rental arrears, utilities, utility arrears, internet services, moving expenses if you were affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're talking about since March of last year.
Right.
To today.
Yeah.
Please apply for this.
Right, and they've kind of wiggled some of the eligibility to make it, hopefully so that more people can qualify. So, like Bree said, going back to March of last year, if you're out of work, you were late on the rent or utilities, or maybe you still are, maybe you're on a payment plan with GPA or GWA. Give these guys a call and see how they can help. It's 728. We got a quick break, and then we're coming back with the Minority Report with Minority Leader Senator Chris Duenas. That's next, right here on the link. Good morning.
Get yourself
Say hello
all
to the
caught-
First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Got a question about your finances? You've come to the right place. Bring all your accounts together, even those that aren't with us, and see the big picture, right down to the smallest detail. Unlock powerful tools like Insights and Money Map that help you save time and take control of your finances. When you connect accounts with the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Half a day. This is Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. If you're struggling to pay rent and utilities because of the pandemic, your government can help. Our Emergency Rental Assistance Program provides direct relief to you. To date, over $6.9 million has helped over 1,500 households.
Apply online at eoa.guam.gov or call the Department of Administration's Emergency Rental Assistance Program at 671-638-4518 or 19.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city, featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutters, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
$7.31. Wow, Christmas is coming, Jay. What's our shopping days?
You now have...
He's the only one that does the complex math here.
You now have 18 shopping days until Christmas.
Thank you. And there's a story, Bree, we didn't get to talk about here on the link. I know that we played it in the newscast, but this is relative to this DYA employee who was arrested after allegedly punching a 12-year-old DYA client in the nose. Yeah, the alleged assault occurring Sunday at the DYA Mingilao compound. According to the magistrate's complaint, 22-year-old Cleo Noni Maria Milian Lam was in a room with one of the clients who insulted her several times. Lam allegedly admitted to punching the victim because she was, quote, fed up with the client's disrespect. Lam faces charges of assault by a peace officer as a third-degree felony. According to DYA Director Melanie Brennan, an administrative investigation is underway, but she assures the public that DYA's priority, most of the time anyway, is the safety and well-being of their youth residents. She adds the subject of this investigation will not have further contact with residents. Bree, we were looking at the court documents for this, and this is that one where she had also said to this 12-year-old, do you want to try me? It was, I remember. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, Senator Chris Duenas is here. He's a former DYA director. Senator, this is and I don't know if it's like the age of this individual. I mean, there's nothing that will excuse this behavior. But, you know, when you work in this type of field, you got to have a thick skin, right?
Yeah, good morning, Chris and Bree and Jason. And definitely, it takes a special person to work at the Department of Youth Affairs. And you know, one of the most success that I had in hiring youth service workers was those who had been AmeriCorps volunteers. And the reason why is, the AmeriCorps is a wonderful program, and it gives young people an opportunity to get credits towards college and a small stipend to help. Many government agencies like agriculture and others have that program, and those individuals really just fall in love with the job. You know, the job chose them almost, kind of like one of your former broadcasters, right? That's out now, I know, and doing great work. to try to help children, particularly I think some of those who are either abused or having needing shelter and the like. But yeah, I always pray whenever I sign the GG1, to bring somebody on board, that the job chose that person. And by and large, that is the truth. But you do get individuals that are there for the wrong reason. And I had, in the 7.5 years that I was there, I had a couple of incidents such as this. And I can say that during my time, after the investigation, everything was completed, those individuals no longer work at Department of Youth Affairs.
Yeah, this just kind of seems like, it's very hard to read, especially considering that these are troubled youth, right? I got a 12-year-old, and I wouldn't know what to do if some adult was, or punched him in the nose, right? I mean, even if he was in a DUA. Do you think the charges should have been more serious here, Senator? It was assault by a peace officer is a third-degree felony.
Yeah, I'll have to take another look at it. I can't say right off the bat. I know that the charges that were brought against a couple of individuals that did that during my tenure were quite serious. A felony is a felony, right? You know what's frustrating, Chris and Bree, is that, and I used to get really frustrated about it, is Department of Youth Affairs has a lot of resources to be able to, handle these kind of situations. Counseling case management is one of the strongest. In fact, this is one of the areas where I complimented the governor. I was not surprised when Department of Youth Affairs was tapped to deal with the overwhelming caseload at public health when the issues were there, that this just was basically out of control, if you will, in terms of managing, processing those cases, complaints, of abuse. And the reason why is the counseling case management team really is the backbone of Department of Youth Affairs. They are the ones who really keep the youth centers open and operating. And, the youth centers are designed for youth to come in and participate in programs, assisting them with GED preparation, just social interactions within the community, right? But the real reason for those centers is counseling case management, managing children in the community when they have, done their time at youth affairs, whether it be as a status or non-status offender. But that's where they kind of go to reinforce, trying to stay out of trouble. And it's court ordered a lot of times for several months, up to a year, really, or more sometimes, depending on what the situation is with the child, right? But that is really, if you go to any one of those centers and you see the senior social worker there, those are lifers. I think all three centers, maybe with the exception of Dedido, have the same person that when I was there, and that's almost 20 years ago. Yeah. So that coupled with, I think they still receive services from what he calls it. We have, when I was there, I brought on board a staff psychologist, Juan Rapadas, and I think he still does services up there. But they really have Carlos Taitano as well. They really have a really strong, group of individuals, and case management is something that's taken very seriously at Department of Youth Affairs. And so it's really kind of uncalled for. Anytime you have a situation like this, an individual should not have to resort to that type of situation, because the resources are there. I'm sure it's just as strong, if not stronger, than when I was there. There's no excuse for this. You can immediately call, on the social workers and everything else. You can have that child removed. You can have that child brought into, a counseling session with multiple individuals, multiple disciplines. And so it's one of the reasons I had no problem signing termination papers, because there's just no excuse for this. There shouldn't be an excuse for it anyways. Yeah. But I'm saying, if everything is, and I believe it is, the same as when I was there, there's just no reason, because there's a lot of resources to take care of a child who's acting out.
Okay, what's up with the silencer bill, right? So the debate's been pretty pretty juicy.
Yeah, and Chris, I mean, I get it. Most people, the nomenclature that they know is it's a silencer, but the truth is it's a suppressor. If some senators did go over the weekend up to one of the ranges, and they had a chance to, experience what a suppressor really does. It really reduces by, I think, 30 to 50 decibels the, impact of firearm noise. In the bill, it calls for abiding by all federal laws. So you really can get in really big trouble if you use a suppressor for the wrong reason. It takes about 8 months to get one in terms of the application process because they're strictly regulated. Simply put, like my good friend Senator Adams said, criminals don't care about the law. If criminals want to get their hand on something, they're gonna steal it. They're gonna make a crude device to suppress sound. So I feel for law-abiding citizens, law enforcement individuals, whether they're active or retired or military, who firearms is a part of what they do. It's their everyday job. I said on the floor, I have a really close relative of mine that I spend a lot of time with. That now it's not because of gunfire, but he works in another environment where heavy machinery is constantly running, and his situation with his tinnitus and the ear issues are really, it's become debilitating. I mean, it's a life-changing experience when you lose this any type of sense of hearing. And so I really think that the bill is written strong enough in the laws of Guam. If you go through the sections of what's required, you have to be a licensed firearm owner in order to be able to purchase it. So it's basically a mirror to our gun laws, which are very strict. I think Guam is we're very fortunate here to have gun laws that are very strict, and licensure and the like. So I hope people can understand what the bill is trying to do. But I'm not going to say that I don't understand concerns. I mean, that would just be crazy for me to outright say that there shouldn't be some concerns. But I think you look on the national level and the like, there's been a movement to kind of bring about a better understanding of why suppressors are used and what their intended purpose is. And it really is for individuals who have to consistently use their firearms as part of their job.
So in its simplest form, this bill allows those who are registered firearm owners to be able to purchase silencers or suppressors or whatever?
Yeah, you can't go to Kmart and pick one off the shelf, you know what I mean, and go home and use it, or use it, for whatever reason you're going to use it for. It's very strictly regulated. They have serial numbers. They have, they're like I said, even just the application process, it takes up to 8 months, and that's stateside, to be able to obtain a suppressor. And it essentially is treated as really an extension of the firearm. So all the laws and all the prosecution capability with regard to if you use it for a reason to commit a crime or do damage, to anyone, and you face, if the long arm of the law reaches out and grabs you, you face some really, really tough, penalties. And those are, I also said this on the floor, I believe that if there was any, in other jurisdictions, there are cases of this. I mean, ATF gets involved when you use, these type of devices for any, so you're not just facing local law enforcement a lot of times, you're facing federal, charges. And so it's very serious, and I just hope that we can continue to assuage the public that this bill is not designed to in any way make it easier for anyone to use a firearm and disguise. It's really truly designed for those either gun enthusiasts who really practice their art, if you will, of being proficient with their firearm, or those who absolutely have to do it because it's part of their job. And if you go into the committee report, there was, I think, 1 or 2 individuals that were expressing concerns, but the large majority were individuals, retired military, active military, police officers, and you really see some really good testimony in terms of what it's all about and why the community who is really active with firearms are advocating for this, because it really is an extension of part of their protective gear as far as the way they look at it.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to switch to.
We had a comment here. With all that the island is going through right now, this gun law is not important. Senator, how would you kind of react to that? Because I mean, people are kind of saying that, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't ever work on any bill that isn't, about COVID or whatever, but just how do you kind of address that concern?
I can understand that. That's fair criticism. I know in the past when bills have been introduced to ban plastic bags, do certain things where people are just like, what? I get it. The thing is that I like the part about with all that's going on nationally and locally, the elephant in the room really is crime. Crime is up all over the place. You have in the cities, in the states, I'll be honest with you, there's certain places I used to go visit. I don't even want to go anymore. I want to see certain family in some places in the states. Guam's violent crime also is really on the rise. And I would kind of differ with that a little bit, saying that firearm purchases have been increasing because people are taking more into account their own public safety. And those that will be going to the range, I know a couple of recent individuals who recently acquired a firearm and have gone to the range to be able to make sure that they understand how to use it. They were amazed at the kickback and the noise associated with using a firearm. And they would like the range to have that option for them to use when they go and practice. So I would kind of differ with all that's going on, because truthfully, unfortunately, our island as well as our nation and our world is becoming a way more violent place to live. And it's not just firearms. I mean, you see stabbings, you see all kinds of crazy stuff, particularly on the national scene. But you see a lot of lately. You see issues with high-speed chases and the drug problem and everything else, murders and things that are going on. A while back, right, Chris and Bree, people probably wouldn't have even been, too keen on Castle Doctrine. But now we've seen cases where those individuals who are protecting their home and their business and their life, that they probably would have been drugged through the courts. And think about that guy with his barbershop, with his wife in the room. And he took the law into his hands because he knew he could. Either he probably would have maybe made a decision not to shoot, or if he did shoot during that time, he probably would have been facing a lot of charges and legal fees and everything else to prove that he was defending himself. But the Castle Doctrine, I think, has helped a lot of us, where people know now, I better not go in that house, or if I do, I better expect that if I don't come out, that individual is not going to be too worried about, prosecution. So some of these things take a little while, I think, to come online. And yes, there are more pressing matters. As a matter of fact, I'm going to move for the override of Bill 11, because I think the governor has really been taking way too much liberties with this, public health emergency. I know that there's a lot of people that are really, really upset about the mandates. The other night, we had a marathon hearing. And while not huge in number, the passionate testimony from people who are otherwise taking care of themselves and have reasons for why they're not getting a shot are very angry that their livelihood, and particularly teachers, people who take care of our children and have done it all their life, that their livelihood has been stripped from them. If you see on the national scene, President Biden is either his mandates are being stayed or just ruled outright unconstitutional. And so you see a lot of situations whereby, this abuse of powers is something that is really unacceptable, particularly nationally and locally, I think too. On November 23rd, Hawaii lifted most, if not all, of their restrictions, declaring that they're open for business. I believe they are no longer in a public health emergency, and 20 months is just too long. Enough is enough, that commenter is correct. There is a lot more stuff to do. One of the bills we're entertaining right now, Chris and Bree, is on sole source procurement. Why do we have to go and introduce so many bills to try to make sure that we're restricting the executive's power? Because there has been a lack of transparency. There's been a lack of coming forward to say, this is why we're doing this. And so some of my coworkers there, on the floor said to me, hey, I think the better way than Bill 11 is to just keep introducing these bills that provide for reports and, change procurement and all this stuff. And I don't fault them for that. But I'm like, yeah, but, are we closing the barn door and the horses have already, or the kabadzi, whatever else, ran away already? And so, I think that, the people of Guam are right to say there's so many things we need to do. And from time to time, there are bills that don't look as important as other things, but we're doing a lot of work to try to improve people's lives, to hold this government accountable and to account for, the resources. Another bill, I heard you talking the other day on this, Chris, I'm going to make a lot of noise about it during the committee of the whole, but I'm disgusted that the legislature has to pass a bill to match the ARP, for the tourist industries. These tourist industry these people that have been here, their whole life, their whole family, everything's been invested in this island. Most of those people have been doing business for over 40 years, and they're holding on by a thread right now. And they have, like you said, Chris, they have to beg for money when there's a whole bank full of money. And we have to play this game where the legislature needs to, appropriate $25 million to match the governor's $25 million. I don't even know if Gita right now is going ahead and rolling out the program while they wait for the governor's $25 million. I know we're in the season of Advent, and maybe I should, be a little bit more generous, but, our Lord also, when we read the Bible, there's a lot of accountability in there, and that's what we have to do. But rest assured, for the people of Guam that are watching now, I'm working every day to try to improve your lives. I'm working every day to make sure that our island and our businesses can stay alive. That's why I'm advocating for ending this public health emergency, open up Guam. The governor has the power in the drop of a hat to do what she needs to do. She's declared that this entire bank account loaded with cash is hers. She can respond to any emergency with that cash. I've not seen proven anywhere that it requires an emergency to spend money the way it's being spent. And that's what we would ask for when the governor has to come down every 30 days to explain to the legislature why the public health emergency is necessary to continue. But I hope 10 of my colleagues or 9 of my colleagues will join me in saying no more and override Bill 11 and have more accountability in our government. But those are just some of the things many of us are working on, and many of us in the minority are very united on these issues.
Well, yeah, you said in the minority, but we're talking about a Democrat majority in the legislature. And
right.
I know you said you were disgusted that the legislature has to come up with a $25 million match for the LEAP program. But in reality, it just seems like, well, you can be disgusted, but at the end of the day, that thing is going to go through. And I'm really surprised that it hasn't even been brought up when you do have these businesses out there that need help. And do you know if it's actually going to be discussed on the floor today?
That bill is on for discussion. I believe it's right after the current bill that we're discussing. Right now we are on the opioid settlement bill. The Attorney General's office is there testifying in favor of a bill that creates basically a commission to make recommendations to administer the settlement funds when they arrive on Guam. But I believe the next bill up is the LEAP bill. And you're right, Sabrina, it is a Democrat majority, but a lot of Democrat colleagues are not happy with this too. And I think you're going to see that on the floor. A lot of Democrat colleagues are not happy. I know I don't want to speak for her, but I think I've heard her in interviews. The speaker is not happy with this. She really is asking straight away, where's the money? And even if you look at the BBMR's, testimony on the bill, I was getting I was a little surprised with Lester because it almost sounded like he was talking about the money wouldn't necessarily be there, because he went through the commitments that are already tied to the $62 million unaudited $62 million surplus from last year and the last fiscal year. So he went down the line and came up with about $9 million there. Even though we're tracking this year, you can't spend any of that money. And so really one of the reasons why Senator Frank Blas and I and Tony Ada introduced a bill to give the governor some additional transfer authority. I know some folks have been upset about that, but really that's the only place that the governor can find the money is within the budget. And it just seems unreal, right? I mean, when you have $550 some million sitting there, why would you even tinker with your general fund appropriations? You don't even know if they're going to be adequate to finish the year. And so, yeah, Bree, there are Democrats that don't like this either.
So LEAP might not even be discussed for another 2 days, possibly.
Well, it's going to be discussed in this session, and I believe the bill will pass. But I think most people are going to pass the bill holding their nose, because all they can do, why do we want to show the business community that we're not behind them? We're actually more behind them. We want the governor to use all ARP for this program and get it moving now. And so, I saw an article in the paper the other day from a former colleague of ours, Jesse Lujan, writing that, well, I don't know why, the governor, Governor Gutierrez is the one really champing at the bit to get things moving. In several interviews that said, I just hope this, they don't try with this Omnivirant or whatever else it is to Omicron variant to shut our butts down again, and yeah, of course we have to take everything serious, but we have to move too when it's not serious and keep the bus moving. So it will be heard. I believe it will pass, maybe unanimously, but we're going to do it because we're going to show good faith to the businesses. I know a lot of these businesses that have come forth to testify, you guys, they're playing nice because they have to. They're on their last leg, and they probably know it would be better to just get it straight away from ARP. But hey, pass the bill. The legislature is involved too. We're helping. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna vote for it. I have to show good faith.
Right. You have no choice.
Exactly. I mean, your back's against the wall, and you're actually
and the businesses aren't going to go challenge the administration.
Of course not. So we're actually doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons, when we know that there's the right thing to do, but we're just not going to do it because the governor's forcing this. So I don't know if this is even a win. Anyway.
We wish you luck.
Yeah.
Senator.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. But
good luck with that, man.
Hey, maybe we'll ask for another, to take Sentiment and Cumberland around again one more time, and we'll all just continue to pray our rosary and what it is. But yeah, it's a tough road, but I continue to remain proud of this legislature. Two of my colleagues have joined me to pass Bill 11 and also to override Bill 11. So if we get two more, we're going to continue to show the governor that we're not sitting on our hands, that we're on it and we're doing our job. And when the governor goes to Washington and says, my senators, no, we're the senators for the people of Guam. We don't belong to any administration. But you know, when the contempt is shown consistently, this legislature has to stand up all the time and say no. Our job is to keep the check and balance. It's not personal. You know, we can hang out at the fiesta, open up Guam, and we'll hang out at the Christmas party together. But when it's time to do the job, we got to do the job.
Thank you, Senator.
I will see you in session.
Yeah, maybe we could get a little Christmas caroling. We got to go to the top of the hour, Senator.
Good enough. If I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas to you and the people of Guam.
I'm pretty sure we'll see you before Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Hey, it's 8 o'clock. On the Breeze side, we are KUAM FM, Agotni Guam, and KUAM TV. Here we come. Good morning. Good morning, Guam. It's 8 o'clock. KUAM TV, welcome to The Link on another episode, Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. It's Thursday, December 9th.
Good morning, everybody. Wake up. Time to punch in. Time to go to school. Time to get it done.
That's it.
Time for news.
That's it. We'll go right into the news now, Jay. Brought to you by Pacific Points. It's our 8 o'clock newscast with the very latest from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Matanani.
Off today, everybody. A jury has unanimously found former Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority legal counsel Mark Smith guilty on over 30 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, theft of government property, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and engaging in monetary transactions with proceeds of specified unlawful activity. In March 2017, Smith, along with Glenn Wong, were indicted by a federal grand jury. Smith was Gora's legal counsel and was collecting funds as a landlord for the Section 8 program. He concealed his conflict of interest by transferring his properties to Wong. Wong would distribute the money in various methods to pay Smith's credit cards, loans, and other obligations. Smith is scheduled to be sentenced on March 8th of next year. Following the reading, though, of the verdict, defense attorney Mike Phillips indicated that he will file a motion for judgment of acquittal. Attorney Phillips has 14 days to file that motion. An indictment handed down 3 months ago has been unsealed after federal officials finally took into custody Rebecca Rose and Nicholas Morta yesterday. She was indicted back in September on drug charges. According to documents, Morta is accused of attempting to possess with the intent to distribute up to 50 or more grams of meth. The alleged crimes took place between January and February of last year. Morta is scheduled to be arraigned before federal magistrate Judge Michael Perdalio this morning. The Joint Information Center reports 7 people hospitalized for COVID. Out of the 7, 1 is on a ventilator, 1 receiving ICU level of care. Of those patients, 5 are vaccinated, 2 unvaccinated. Public Health reports 4 new positive cases of COVID out of 381 tests performed on December 7th. To date, there have been a total of 19,287 officially reported cases of COVID-19 on Guam. There have been 267 deaths. 269 people are in isolation, and more than 18,000 have recovered. The CAR score now 0.8. To date, a total of 126,611 of Guam's eligible population is fully vaccinated. Here's the breakdown. 12,052 residents between the ages of 12 to 17 have been vaccinated. 3,626 residents between the ages of 5 to 11 have received their first dose of Pfizer. And only 823 residents between 5 to 11 years old have completed their 2-dose series. Now, 30,471 booster shots have been administered to eligible island residents. And in national news now, Dr. Anthony Fauci declared that Santa Claus has received his booster shot and is ready to go on his Christmas Eve sleigh ride. And with millions of Americans getting ready to come together for the holidays, Pfizer says a 3rd dose of its vaccine is needed to protect against the Omicron variant. Natalie Brand reports.
Pfizer released new data showing a booster shot of its vaccine provides significantly more protection against Omicron compared to the initial 2-dose regimen.
If you get the booster, you're really in good shape. And so that's very encouraging news. That's the lab report. There's more study going on.
Doctors believe Omicron could be the dominant strain in the U.S. by January. So far, the data suggests the new variant may trigger less severe cases than Delta, but could be much easier to spread.
So if it's half as aggressive and twice as contagious, that means that you're going to get significant numbers of hospitalizations.
News of the new variant has led to a rise in people getting booster doses as well as first-time vaccinations. Here on Capitol Hill, a group of lawmakers is pushing for a vote to try and block a Biden administration rule that would require millions of American employees to get vaccinated or take weekly COVID tests.
As soon as today, our Republican friends are going to come to the floor to push an anti-science, anti-vaccine proposal to overturn the president's vaccine requirements for businesses with more than 100 employees.
At least 2 Democrats support the Republican measure, giving it a majority of support in the Senate.
They don't trust individuals, families, doctors, employers, and customers to sort things out for themselves.
But the move is largely symbolic since it's not expected to get a vote in the House, and the requirement is facing challenges in the courts. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Public Health and GDOE will host a virtual town hall meeting at 6 p.m. tomorrow via Zoom. Public Health will facilitate presentations and address concerns of the community regarding the COVID vaccine. Participants will also be able to voice their concerns with GDOE. A survey by Public Health is being conducted for parents of elementary school age students, which was sent out on Tuesday by GDOE. Public Health Information Officer Janella Carrera says the purpose of the survey is to get parents and guardians' thoughts about their children getting vaccinated. Results, questions, and concerns collected throughout the survey will be shared during that virtual town hall meeting. Again, that is 6 p.m. tomorrow via Zoom. Well, public testimony regarding COVID-19 vaccination requirements and standard operating procedures, personnel rules and regulations, as well as weekly COVID testing were heard by the legislature for over 4 hours during a roundtable meeting held recently. KUAM's Isaiah Uggan reports.
The virtual roundtable hearing lasted for about 4 hours and 40 minutes to be exact. Educators and parents expressed their concerns about the COVID-19 vaccination requirements for employees and weekly COVID testing. First, Patrice Tenorio, an unvaccinated GDOE employee who is a teacher at Agania Heights Elementary School, does not get tested weekly due to a medical exemption, but she shared her thoughts about the policies currently in place.
My concern is my colleagues are more than qualified to educate students, and they are being treated like criminals. And my coworkers, weekly testing under duress, feeling segregated from the rest of the staff. I've had my coworkers worried because they have headaches, nosebleeds, burning sensations in their nose due to weekly testing. Testing that should really be done for all employees because data shows that both vaccinated and unvaccinated can carry and spread this virus.
Governor Lou Leon Guerrero implemented the requirements through an executive order in September, which states that those who do not comply shall be subject to disciplinary procedures, which may include disciplinary action. As a result, there have been 3 GDOE employees placed on annual leave. One of them being Millie Luhana Fison, now a former GDOE teacher at Agania Heights Elementary School as of Friday, December 3rd. She expressed her feelings about the requirements.
My heart is broken and my spirit shattered over the fact that I am being ordered to stay away from my students as if I was a common criminal. It has now been nearly 3 months since I haven't reported to work, since I haven't been able to teach my students. There has been no closure, and every day is a struggle.
GDOE Superintendent John Fernandez reiterated that the learning institution is just being compliant with the island's chief executive.
This is not a GDOE initiative alone. We are actually an agency implementing an executive order of the governor. And with the guidance of the governor's office, public health, and Department of Administration.
Written testimonies are still being accepted for the next 10 working days. It can be sent via email to Senator T.C. Nelson at guamlegislature.org. Reporting for Guam's News Network, Guahusi Isaiah Uggan. For Guam's News Network, Guahusi Isaiah Uggan.
With more news, here's Tyler Mazzanani.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Buenos San Hafa Day, everyone. I'm Tyler Mazzanani with your headlines here on The Link. Tragic news as a man in his 20s has passed away, a victim of a fatal fire. Hannah Devanzo reports.
Just before 5:30 Wednesday morning, 911 dispatch got the call.
It was a house fire, of course, with a single occupant. It was extinguished early this morning. 911 call was made by the family. and we extinguished it.
According to Deputy Fire Chief Joey San Nicolas, as firefighters made their way inside and extinguished the fire, they found someone inside.
They did find one body, one person within the structure. It was extricated and immediately transported to the hospital.
The man, who has not yet been identified, is described to be in his 20s. He was rushed to Naval Hospital in Agana Heights, with CPR being conducted by medics during transport.
At this point, for us, he is classified as a fire-related death, which triggers a couple of extra things for us, a more in-depth investigation.
San Nicolas says the Guam Fire Department does not suspect any foul play involved, but is still investigating what may have caused the fire. According to our news files, the last time the fire department investigated a fatal fire was more than 3 years ago. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Hannah Devonzo.
The Leon Guerrero administration has submitted its plan to pay out $10 million in local war claims. Acting Governor Josh Tenorio says proposed legislation has been forwarded to the legislature that sets out the implementation details, beginning with the creation of an adjudication committee to review the claims.
Basically, what we're proposing and providing for is that the adjudication committee is going to follow the same process that the Federal Commission did in adjudicating those claims. And the claim form is identical to the claim form that everybody else that had managed to file with the Federal Commission. It's identical.
The adjudication committee will set up offices at the Guam Museum, and the Department of Administration will process the payouts. Claim amounts will be based on the type of atrocities suffered, from injuries to rape to death. There are an estimated 700 war survivors that did not meet the December 2016 federal filing deadline. And Tenorio says the $10 million that's expected to be set aside for payments will be flexible.
But quite frankly, during the claims period of the application period, if there's going to be a need, then of course I feel, as does the governor, that we would meet that need. But I think that it's a pretty good estimate based on the experience that we've seen during the federal claims process.
Speaker Terlahi and others in the legislature want to expand the local war claims program to include all those who passed away prior to the federal cutoff date, so essentially all would be eligible.
There's a lingering issue for all of us. We feel incomplete about it, but we also have to be quite realistic about the amount of resources that we're going to be able to provide.
There is no additional funding for the program. It's all local money or federal reimbursements already due to Guam. Meanwhile, it was also not lost on Tenorio that this is the 80th anniversary of the Japanese attack on Guam that launched the brutal occupation. He says his grandmother, Marcy Franquez, was at the cathedral and was told to flee when they first heard of the bombings in Sumai.
At that time, she must have been only 15 years old, 16 years old. And what a situation to be in, right? But I was totally thinking about her and all of the Manumcos and the war survivors that are still alive, and how, at least the government, in one of the things that we can unify on is, trying to make sure that we find a way to provide compensation for the folks that got left behind.
For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
The CNMI is in its first wave of COVID-19, and federal help arrived on the island to treat COVID-19 patients on Saipan. Tomas Manglotnia reports from the alternate care site.
Federal help is on Saipan to assist in containing COVID-19.
We were given the mission to help staff the monoclonal antibody clinic as well as the mass vaccination clinic. Here at the MAB, the monoclonal antibody clinic, we have 2 nurses, a paramedic, and 2 physicians that are here taking care of the patients that are brought in for their subcutaneous MAB treatment.
About 136 patient courses have been administered so far.
We are here to help augment and help support. We're not here to take over. We are not running in a silo. We're here to help you.
The treatment is available at the alternate care site at Kanoa Resort and the Saipan Hospital ER for those who present symptoms and test positive.
There's about 10 beds set up there right now, but there's the capacity here to really be able to expand that number if necessary. So people who desire to have this treatment done and get the monoclonal antibody infusion, this site is, or injection, I'm sorry, is set up to be able to accommodate, larger numbers.
They remind the community that the treatment is not a substitute for getting vaccinated.
We don't want you to be hospitalized. We don't want you to fill a bed. We want you to be able to get this treatment. And so there is a certain time frame for you to get it. And when you have those symptoms, that's basically your sign.
The team is expected to leave on December 14, but may extend their stay if frontliners need more help. Tomas Manglotnya for KUAM News on Saipan.
That's it for now. We'll see you tonight for KUAM News Primetime.
This news update is brought to you by Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
The House passed the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act. The measure contains several critical provisions related to Guam. Aside from millions in funding for military projects, the 2022 NDAA also calls for an integrated air and missile defense system for the territory. The Defense Secretary would be tasked with identifying the architecture and acquisition approach for implementing a 360-degree integrated air and missile defense capability to defend the island from advanced cruise, ballistic, and hypersonic missile threats. The NDAA now moves to the Senate. The U.S. Postal Inspection Service is offering a reward of up to $10,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspects who broke into post office boxes at the Tamuning and Barragata post offices in November of 2021. You're looking at the pictures now on your screen of the alleged suspects. The Tamuning post office, again, is located on the Edward T. Calvo Memorial Parkway, while the Barragata post office, again, is located in Barragata. If you think you know who these individuals are, please call GPD. The Postal Inspection Service is seeking to identify the suspects. Again, in the pictures you just saw, actually call the U.S. Postal Inspection Service at 1-877-876-2455. You have to say law enforcement. We're going to post all this information because it's a lot of information. 1-877-876-2455. And we're now going to head into the Zoom room and check in with our Tomas Manglotnya. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning, Bree, Chris, Jason, Joser. Yes, as you saw in that report, federal help is on Saipan at least until December 14. They've administered about 136 patient courses of the monoclonal antibody treatment. As a part of the National Disaster Medical System team, there was about 2 nurses, a paramedic, 2 physicians that are here taking care of the patients brought in for the MAB treatment. We're hearing that right now we have about a supply of 300 of those treatments and 500 more are on the way. And Bree, as you know, the last report we got with regards to the case count here in the CNMI was from December 5th. And even then, those numbers are actually reflecting tests done on December 3rd. So it's been a few days since we last received some data about the cases, which of course continue to rise as we are in this surge. We do know that there are more cases, but they have yet to be reported. We checked in with the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation this morning, asking them for more data from December 3rd onward to today, December 9th. And so we'll bring you the latest on that once we receive it. But we do want to share this clip from our visit to the alternate care site. So this is kind of the extension of the hospital at Canoa Resort, where for the first time, the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation CEO tells us that they are going to consider home quarantine for those who test positive. Of course, this is a big change given that they were so strict in saying, no, everyone needs to go to the facilities to quarantine after they test positive.
Oh, you mean isolate?
Here's what Esther said yesterday.
Being looked at as an option? Yes, absolutely. It is definitely being looked at as an option. The numbers are increasing. It's obvious. And for us, again, so here's what really worries me and it makes me nervous, okay? So what really worries me is when individuals get tested, there's a long line of people testing, right? But here's what's happening. Once they test, they go home, they go out and hang out with family and friends, and they don't even know that they're positive. This is a lot of tests that we're processing. So it does take a while for the results to come out. But you don't, in the meantime, while you're getting tested, don't try to spread it. Act as if you got it. Keep your mask on because you don't know if you got it. And when you do finally get the information that you got it, you don't want to go back and say, hey, was I hanging out with somebody already and I just learned that I got positive? You know, those are things that we don't want. We want to stop the spread. And the only way to do this, don't just go and get tested. Get tested and act as if you're positive so that you don't go spreading it to other people. What's happening is totally opposite. People get tested and then they go out and hang out with family members and more people are identified. I don't know what to say. And going back to the self-quarantine, that is the concern too, because everywhere in the world, when people are detected as positive, they can home quarantine. So those are things that are being considered right now because of the large number of positive cases. And because of the large number of positive cases. And
here in the CNMI, as of today, there are about 37,993 people who are fully vaccinated. That brings the NMI's total vaccination rate to 89.6%. And also over 9,000 booster shots administered here in the NMI. And wanted to shift gears just a little bit. Late last night, we received news from the House Investigative Committee investigating the CNMI governor. The CNMI governor, through his legal counsel, objected to the subpoena issued by the House committee investigating him. His legal counsel cited 3 reasons. The first is the governor is immune from testimony and protected by executive privilege. The second is that the subpoena does not serve a legitimate legislative purpose. And the third and final reason is that the subpoena was not issued in line with CNMI law or House rules. That's what the CNMI governor's legal counsel says. In response to the office of the governor yesterday, the chair, Representative Selena Babauta, agreed to confer in a negotiation and accommodation process that she set at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. That will be public and we will be there to report on it. However, she says that they expect the governor to appear at 10:30 a.m. that same day to testify still in line with their subpoena. She told KUAM, quote, "If he doesn't appear as directed, the committee will take appropriate measures to include but not be limited to finding him in legislative contempt." She adds, "This is not a threat but a cautionary note to the governor and all other individuals who are subject to our lawful subpoena power." Of course, we reported on that November 8 letter, Governor Torres writing, "We cannot allow perpetual harassment and obstruction of the legislative branch onto the executive branch to be a norm." He added, "No governor has experienced this level of harassment and slander in the history of the CNMI." And so, Bree, that's just about 24 hours from now when they're supposed to meet and when the exact hearing is supposed to take place. They did say that the conference that they're going to have before the slated time of 10:30 for the testimony for both the governor and the police chief, Robert Guerrero, that's going to be open to the public. So we'll definitely bring you the latest on that when it happens in the morning tomorrow.
Is the press conference still on for tomorrow? Doesn't the governor have weekly Friday morning press conferences?
Yes, that's scheduled at 8 a.m. I believe so. We haven't gotten the invite yet, but usually it is at 8 o'clock in the morning, which means that he will probably have a packed morning if he's going to attend all of these meetings at 8, 9:30, and then 10:30 with regards to addressing the allegations. Obviously, that's probably one of the first questions we'll ask is, are you going to the meeting in about an hour or so from this press conference? Also, he's continuing his video series, taking to Facebook. We just reported on that the other day on his boating trips, which he says, are all within legal realms. So we'll see. It's not clear. I think it might just be his attorneys who show up at 9:30. And from what we're hearing, it's unlikely that he'll even show up at 10:30 for the hearing that he was subpoenaed for. But the chair also making clear, as they held his executive assistant, Francis de la Cruz, in contempt, that they are not going to probably hesitate to do that to him as well.
Wow.
Pretty interesting stuff.
I know. Since you've been there, it just seems like nonstop.
Yeah. You okay though, Tomas?
Yeah.
Are you okay? How are you?
Yes, I am. Yeah, bringing the latest to people who and what they need to know. I mean, it's interesting. You're right. I mean, I think people might be experiencing some sort of information overload just with the cases and with the political firestorm that is here. I'm part of one of the CNMI COVID-19 information groups, and they actually decided to stop sharing the case counts every day with each other because it was bringing some anxiety and mental health issues as well. So, regardless, though, we will continue to report that, and we did ask this morning about more information with regards to the cases because the last report we did receive just reflects some of the cases on December 3rd. So,
yeah, that's 7 days. Yeah, that's 7 days ago, a week ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I mean, especially in our first surge, it is important to know. And I think as we've been reporting these numbers, right, they've been in sometimes the triple digits. And if you look at the dates, though, that span a particular amount of days. So if we do get a report, whenever that may be, today, tomorrow, or next month, it's going to be a big number because it's going to span all these days during this surge that we haven't heard.
I missed it, Tomas, but what's the reason for the delay?
We're hearing that it's a manpower issue. I believe that it's kind of one or two people sifting through this data. And so this is part of the reason why some of these teams are also going to come in and help. Stephanie Kernelli is no longer here as the epidemiologist. She left after a week or two. I believe she might be back in Guam. I think there's more help also to help analyze that data. It's, I think also on the flip side, not hearing about it every day might make you think there are no cases.
Yeah.
So we just want to make sure that we have the latest information, and we haven't received that just yet.
Was it an issue
we did. They continue to have the max vaccination clinics. The monoclonal antibody treatment is available, and more is on the way. So, in terms of that, we are hearing a lot about that. And yesterday, we were able to interview the federal team that is here. And tonight, we'll actually have more on primetime because they opened up a pharmacy at the alternate care site, and we got to talk to people at the pharmacy because they're in charge of administering all the different treatments to people who are in the isolation facilities. So they don't need to go to, it doesn't all have to come from the ER pharmacy here on Saipan.
I did want to follow up because I think we had this conversation before, and it may have been mentioned during one of the media briefings with Esther regarding the pill, the Merck pill.
Yes. Yeah, we haven't received anything on that yet, Bree, so I can't share much. Okay. But she did mention that in that first time that she talked about it, she mentioned that it should be here by the end of the year. But no new information after that yet.
All right. Well, thank you, Tomas.
Yeah, and take some me time. Self-care is so important, my friend.
Will do, Chris. Thanks.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later.
Why is that funny?
That was more than 6 good minutes from Tomas.
Yeah, it was a good chunk of time there. Our regional coverage definitely a step up here with Tomas Manglotnia, who is live there in the CNMI. I feel bad for the guy because every time he goes back to the NMI, stuff just starts happening. It's like he's good luck for the news cycle.
He was joking with me about that before because in his travels, of course, he was finishing up grad school when he was at Stanford, and then he had a wonderful internship. He was at Good Morning America, out in New York City. But he's like, man, everywhere I go, there seems to be a surge.
Yeah, don't come to Guam, Tomas.
Hey,
maybe just relax there in Saipan for a little bit. Let's go ahead and do some more news with Uncle Ken Conception. It's brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. Good morning.
Buenos updates to get soon to be kunut sa morgan ni KUAM News. Presenta ni Familian Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank. Aji tauta ni makonin seguidas para a Naval Hospital después que masoni gumania gita toto sa matay. Sa dia las 5:30 ginigap na ogan, manmati Guam Fire Department guatu guhin na guma sintan cemento gi San Miguel Street. Mapedforma ay CPR gi itauto, mantas makokoni guatu gi hospital. Itauto sa kasi maski 20 años na edad. May bisita ka tayo ki masoni gima. Masa suntu, ajin daik mani manahuzong 3 meses na tempo tati sa maansyo hanay opisyal federal makon ilusutumus si Rebecca Rose and Nicholas Morta gi inigap. Ma-indict si Morta gi September na mes pud bineno na inataki. Según dokumento ni Korte, maataki si Morta na makikimanuliv sa paro dispatsa san distribute maski 50 grama na methamphetamine. Ikinatradisi siya sa masisirigi Enero san Febrero na mes kimapos na sakan. Maskedyo si Morta para ma-arraign gimena ni Magistrate sa Federal na West, Michael Berdalio, pago na ugaan. Yuto mo na asunto gifinut sa moro gid ni KOAM News para pago na Webes. I-house na ramas gi Congress ng Amerika sa mapasa di 2022 National Defense Authorization Act. Adun na biyo sa gwahas siya artikulo ni nabat gagwahan. Sayang ipod $1,000,000 na salapi siya para i-project militar. Adun na biyo sa paro managwaha lokal si Integrated Air and Missile Defense System ginigit sa gwahan. I-Secretary of Defense sa Mataria para identifika itaymano designa na gasto para ma-implementa kapasidad niya as 360-degree integrated air and missile defense para defendi islata kontra cruise, ballistic, dan hypersonic na animasaw siya. Adyo na bill sa sampi humanaw katu gira si Senate di Kongreso ng Amerika. Para Guam News Network, Guam Sikin Conception. Yasuto gifinut sa moro sa presidenta sa ninafatto ni Familiang Mizo di First Hawaiian Bank.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, where you get smart insights into your finances so you can make smart decisions with your money. With a daily personalized feed, you can compare your monthly income to spending. That's better. Discover where your money is actually going. You might be surprised. See what's essential and what isn't. The more you use the app, the smarter it gets. With insights from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore. Stop on by and visit our showroom today. We offer everyday low prices on all major outdoor power equipment like bush cutters, chainsaw, power washer, generators, and more. Need service, repair, maintenance? Well, check out Guam's best superstore only at Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape, located in Barragata along Army Drive between Submarina and Besta Market. Call 735-7446 for more information. Now shipping to surrounding islands. Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape Superstore.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city, featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC.
I didn't get screened because I was just afraid of it.
I procrastinated.
I didn't have any symptoms.
I didn't have insurance.
I didn't want to know.
There were several services that was available to me.
I got a mammogram.
Colonoscopy.
I know in my heart that early detection saved my life.
And I just tell people all the time, please go get screened.
The holidays are here, and you know what that means. Time to gather with family and friends, dress up our homes, and explore the Christmas season in paradise. Why not share these moments for a chance to win $100 in cash? Log on to visitguam.com/Instaguam today to participate in the Guam Visitors Bureau's #Instaguam photo and video contest. A winner will be chosen every week, so share your best holiday moments now and win. Brought to you by GVB, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
Basically, my life was
a revolving door of just getting drugs, using drugs. My name is Anne-Marie Sablan. I'm 26 years old and I'm a student at Guam Community College, about to graduate with my associate's degree in human services. Got my high school diploma with GCC's Adult High program. The staff there is very helpful. They're very friendly, and it became like a family dynamic. It's possible for anybody, especially people like me who struggle with addiction.
The Novena to the Christ Child, a podcast series on KUAM Communication, a local Christmas tradition reimagined with all 9 days, available on demand on the KUAM Podcast Network, beginning December 6th and streaming on all our digital media platforms, as well as nightly at 7 p.m. on Isla Digital Radio.
Attention basketball fans, the wait is over. Clutch Guam presents the second annual McDonald's High School Basketball Classic, going down December 20th to January 8th at the Father Duenas Jungle. Make sure you come through to watch some high school boys and girls varsity division action. You do not want to miss out. Special thanks going out to KUAM Sports. We'll see you there.
It's time to save on shipping. Support our local entrepreneurs. Find the best steals, deals, and unique products for your holiday shopping needs. The Christmas Pops virtual holiday marketplace is your hub for the best local gifts. Watch the Christmas Pops special airing through December 11th and streaming now across the stations and platforms of KUAM Communications. Visit KUAMChristmasPops.com and be on the lookout for local business profiles on our social media pages. Shop small and support local this holiday season.
Presented by UOG School of Business and Public Administration, JA Guam, inspiring youth, and the Guam Visitors Bureau, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Happy holidays. We hope you have a great time. Let's celebrate these good times. Memories of a lifetime. Hear the bells jingle. It's Christmas time on the islands. The season's far from silent. Everybody's smiling. Take a look around the island. Mistletoes and jelly rolls. Eggnog and alcohol. Let's have a good time. Just don't get out of line. Sip some wine with some family and friends. Next year, same plan. We're gonna do it again. Merry Christmas to you. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time.
Good morning. 8:36. Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, ITD and Jackie in the box. Proud to present this episode of The Link on this Thursday. Let's head into the KUAM News Zoom room where we have the superintendent of the Guam Department of Education, John Fernandez, standing by. Makeup Day, as we're all, the holiday yesterday, right, John?
Right.
Good morning.
Right, we have our makeup day today, so
yeah.
I'll say good morning, Chris, Bree, and Jason. I just wanted. I'm glad we had a chance to catch up this week. I mean, it seems like we a lot has happened over the past, since we last spoke about schools. I just want to do a quick update on school reopening. Obviously. We started back on the 29th with all of our students, our face-to-face students, back for 5 days of instruction. So I think last week we talked a lot about some of the anxiety and stress about returning to school. I do think that it's I wouldn't say it's gone away, but I do think that things have eased up a little as our students and our employees have gone back to their normal routine. So, still a lot of discussion about maintaining safe campuses, monitoring safe, the campuses on a daily basis. But, I think the students I've spoken with, a lot of them might have been concerned about the return, but things seem to be kind of getting better, and we'll just continue to monitor the situation. We looked at the community risk status continues to seem pretty safe for reopening. We've been monitoring on our dashboard the number of cases that we're seeing reported to the schools where the kids have been on campus, and that's been relatively low, actually very low for the last week. And we're going to continue to just pay attention to the data and keep our stakeholders apprised of the situation. And as you know, we have after tomorrow, we have one more week of school, and then we head off into the Christmas break. So, we want to thank all of our parents, our teachers, and our students for doing their best, during these couple of weeks. We'll get to the Christmas break, assess everything at that point, and then again prepare for January reopening coming back on January 3rd. So hopefully everybody is getting into the holiday spirit at this time, and again we all could use some holiday spirit after this year. So again, I'll take questions on that as we if needed. I want to talk about another discussion that we're having. So tomorrow, as you know, we typically have these meetings of stakeholders when there are big issues or things that need to be discussed with them. And upcoming tomorrow at 6 p.m. we are holding a Zoom town hall meeting. The information regarding the Zoom link and so forth is on our Facebook page, and of course we'll be putting it out through the JIC and through other sources. But the topic is actually a public health and GDOE hosted forum, and we really encourage people to listen in, whether it's through our live stream on Facebook or in the Zoom meeting. This would be a chance to hear what the topic that we're going to be discussing, as well as provide input and ask questions, get clarifications. And I do want to urge parents to attend this, because the topic is vaccination of 5 to 11-year-olds. I want to just be very clear that right now, that this topic or this discussion right now really is about gathering input. There is no, we're not there to discuss a mandate for students, because I'm not aware that the governor has decided whether that's going to be a good idea or not, or whether it's necessary. But there has been a push, and I think you heard it on KOAM, by the physicians to offer in-school vaccination clinics. And what I mean by this is not simply weekend clinics that at a school site or after school clinics, but actually providing vaccinations during the school day to the 5 to 11-year-old students. So at an elementary school during school hours, that this type of service would be arranged. I haven't been I didn't when I first heard this, I was very hesitant, and I still am a little hesitant to do that, because we've just returned to school. We're trying to maximize instructional time. There are a lot of logistics involved in setting something like this up, and with the with all that needs to happen, it's a big operation to do. Not even taking into account the fact that we really need our parents to be aware of what's happening, be informed, and actually to support what's happening, because parental consent is still a requirement for any 5 to 11-year-old who's going to get the vaccine. So at this point, what we agreed to with public health and with the governor's office is that we need to push information out to our public, get the input of our parents. We actually have worked with public health to distribute an electronic survey for parents to respond to, and as we gather that information, to be able to determine the best way to handle 5 to 11 vaccinations. Obviously, families can go to their private medical providers to get that support. There are village clinics around the island that I know will continue, that are not happening in schools, but maybe at the health centers and mayor's offices and so forth. And again, moving into an in-school vaccination clinic really needs to be thought through and explained, but definitely we need the parents to understand what this discussion is. So I just wanted to put that out there. I think a lot of folks in the community are kind of jumping the gun and saying, this is going to be a mandatory thing. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not aware of that. I'm not comfortable with that at this point, and it's going to take a lot more information and a lot of input from our parents to let us know, number one, what are their intentions with regard to seeking vaccination for their kids. Number two, how would they best, what is their preference for how these vaccination services should be provided? And again, you can do it private at your private provider out in the village, and or after school at a school site and so forth. There are a lot of options out there, and right now we're kind of in the planning phase for looking at ways to support public health, but we haven't really nailed down the options. So please turn out, join us. We welcome the debate. We welcome the discussion. We welcome the questions, because I know that over the past few months there's been a lot of discussion about about this issue and anticipation that it might come up as the 5 to 11 vaccine gets through the approval process. So I'll leave it there, and again, hopefully we'll get a good turnout that'll help inform the best way to move forward. We did talk about last week. We also held a session with our Guam Education Board. Again, with the return to 5 days of instruction, our effort at GDOE is really trying to get back to dedicating most of our time towards the educational, and instructional, subject matters. And part of that is, getting to this discussion about learning loss and learning recovery. And so, as you know, what I've said in the past is the way we're going to deal with learning loss is to, first of all, try to stop learning loss by getting kids back to school, right? Getting them back in the classroom every day of the week and resuming that routine, trying to address, their concerns about returning to school in a safe environment. Once we get into that routine and get back to that new normal, then we can talk about the types of interventions that will make sense for our kids. So we talked a little bit about the annual State of Public Education report, which I think everyone's had a chance to kind of review. And of course, what you do see in that report is data showing from last year to this year that there are challenges, in the different subject areas and the different grade levels. But the bigger issue, though, for us in trying to utilize this data efficiently and effectively is understanding that what we collected over the past couple of years really is limited in terms of giving us the big picture. So, it's a snapshot. It's about, I believe, between 30 to 40% of our school population was assessed, which is which again, raises questions about how accurate and how representative. But at the same time, we do know there was an impact. So we started with that, said this is not the full picture, but once we get our kids back into the classroom, the people who are going to know what impact the COVID has had on learning are going to be the teachers, right? So providing the teachers the support regarding assessment of the students while they're back in class, a more frequent assessment during the quarter as the teachers, focus on the skills that the kids need. That's where we're going to get, I think, a more accurate picture of where kids are, now that they're back to school. So we're going to really have to work with our teachers, gather the information from our schools, and support our teachers in this effort. The other piece of this was discussing, how are we going to support, our teachers in addressing learning recovery. And what I mean by that is, we discussed this with the board, that no matter what the board says, no matter what I say, what we're really talking about is a teacher in a classroom with their kids figuring out, what do I need to do on a day-to-day basis? Now that I know that so-and-so is behind in this subject by this, and these are the challenges and issues need to be addressed, what am I going to do at the school level? So we can talk about extending the school day, extending the school year, but that's not going to solve the issue if the teachers aren't able to get the support they need. And so we talked a lot about, the investment that's been made in technology, the investment that's being made in instructional supplies and materials, the investments made in just kind of, addressing the textbooks and other things that teachers have needed for a long time, but we've not always had the resources to provide. So we know right now with federal funds, we're getting tons of, textbooks coming in containers that have been distributed to the schools, and teachers are now just getting their hands on them. So having the resources and support that you would normally need in any given year, now having them available as we talk about interventions is going to be a real critical piece. Maybe not for other school districts, but definitely for us, where we know that resources have been a challenge. We're very thankful that we have the ability to try to address some of these basic needs. I think in the past we've talked about expanded, after school, programs and summer school, summer programs. So we're talking with the board about the extent of those programs themselves, as well as what we're hearing from the governor's office regarding the community organizations and partnerships that will also provide other opportunities for youth. So we did a presentation, and this is going to be a couple of, definitely more than one conversation with the board. But we talked about, I think what the board's really grappling with is whether or not we need to extend the school day or extend the school year. And because if we do, and we're going to implement that this year, that's a decision that needs to be made pretty soon. We calculated about 26 days for this school year that have been lost due to the shutdown and cohorts and so forth. So we did do a calculation of what that means if you extended the school day or you went into the summer. And there are a lot of issues that we would have to deal with regard to paying for teachers and operating schools and so forth. But we haven't really, the board hasn't come up with a recommendation yet. We wanted to provide them a bigger picture of what's going on, where we're putting the resources, how we're approaching this. And but again, by December, January, we really need to make that final determination and determine whether we need to provide that additional instructional time this school year or even into next school year. I mean, we don't have to do it all at once. It's something that can also be done, during the coming school year. Nobody's saying this is where you need to make it up. We know there's been an impact, but we may not be able to fix it in a few months. You might want to be looking at the next 1 or 2 school years as part of that strategy. So I'm going to go ahead and end there. And there's a lot of other things on the agenda, but I'll see if you have any questions you'd like to have your audience hear responses to.
Just to go back to that 26 days that need to be made up, right? That were lost,
correct.
Right? You said it could also be made up next year, but what if they're seniors? How does that work?
Right. So, I mean, again, we'll look at all of that in terms of instructional time and in terms of the requirements for them to get credit for the courses that they're taking. So they're not directly. I mean, they're not. It's not an equivalent discussion. So they're not necessarily. If we don't make up the days, it doesn't mean that they're not going to graduate. We just have to make sure we clarify that issue for the board so that they're aware of the implications. We don't see that that our seniors not having the opportunity to graduate. I think the effort is across the board, making sure that we have a strategy for providing more instructional support, so that when they graduate, that they can be as prepared as possible for their next steps. So remember, this is kind of it's a global issue. Universities and colleges are dealing with this at the same time, knowing that graduating seniors have kind of all gone through this, that they may have been impacted by instructional time, they may have been impacted by the opportunities to participate in sports, impacted in terms of their service and leadership opportunities. So a lot of these graduates coming out now, colleges are having to look at their applications and saying, you know what, they didn't have an opportunity to do all the things that we would normally expect in a college application in terms of, what service did you do, what community service, what leadership positions, what activities did you participate outside of academics. A lot of our graduates, not just here on Guam, but across the country, are going to have pretty thin applications because of the fact that schools across the country have been shut down in many different ways. Also, a lot of the universities off island that require ACT or SAT results have pretty much waived those requirements for this year, saying, you might not have had the opportunity to prepare or to take those exams depending on your situation. So even that's changed. So again, we're not trying to get used to that. I mean, we know that those requirements will come back into full force as schools around the country reopen, but we just don't want to be behind the curve too much. And that's why the return to school is important for us. And then we can get focused on, how do we recover that time. I do want to say one other thing about learning recovery, that we're going to have to debate is whether or not, this is something that you require compulsory for all students, or whether it's for those who seek out that extra assistance, that extra help. So we're looking at high dosage tutoring, which is a strategy being used in other states and other districts. And that approach basically takes your current school day and provides time within that school day for smaller group tutoring for those who elect to do that instead of having another elective or in place of another class. So we want to look at that strategy as well, which is allow students during the school day so they don't have to deal with transportation issues or don't have to deal with issues at home, having to take a break from those activities to come to school after school hours on the weekends, and trying to build more support and time within the school day so that students have an opportunity to avail themselves of that support. Typically those are made accessible to all, but not required. But it's something that school districts are saying that they're seeing some promising results based on strategies that are built into the existing school hours versus requiring students to figure out how to take advantage of supports outside of the normal school day or school week.
Well, that high dosage tutoring, that sounds like one of those things that came about or would come about as a result of COVID that kind of makes sense to keep around. You know what I mean? Because there's always those kids who are in danger.
Yeah, I don't like the use of dosage in that.
Yeah,
context,
I know. It's a weird term.
Get the first, second, and third dose, but but really,
your
I don't know why. But anyway, you're right. It's come up in that same during the same period of time.
Yeah.
But again, debating whether I think Deputy Joe Sanchez actually gave a good example when we talked about it with the board. He said, let's just say you have 6 months, for your physical fitness, exercise routine. You started on day one, and 6 months you had a goal, and this was your plan, and then you had it interrupted for the first 4 months. You couldn't do any of it. So now you have to figure out how are you going to meet the goals in these last 2 months. So one of the ways you do that is to maybe change your routine, intensify the plan, make adjustments to how you are, going to reach those goals in a shorter period of time. The other approach is to adjust that program and then add more time to your, to those 6 months, add an additional 2 months. But it has to go hand in hand. There has to be a plan where no matter how long you have, there has to be high quality, a high quality approach to it. Otherwise, you give me 2 extra months, I might work less because I've got the additional time. So I think those debates between extended time versus the quality of the strategy, the quality of instruction is really where we're at right now. You don't want to have a lot of upset teachers being forced to work, a lot of upset families being forced to go longer and think that you're going to recover learning by eating into the summer that way if you don't have the support and the willingness of the community to do that. So I think a lot of community input also needs to be factored into this discussion as well.
While we're on the subject of community input, my daughter called me on her way to school this morning. Just full disclosure, I have a few kids in the public school system, but she was asking me to ask you about what is the protocol, Soup, with the cafeteria seating. So at her school, DLP, they have the dividers, and so she sits in one, but then the one next to her is empty, and then there's a student in the one after that. But what she was saying is that it ends up causing these delays where they've got to wait for the kids because we're not filling all the spots. So what is the protocol? Because I wasn't even clear. I didn't even know what to tell her because I thought it was 3 foot, or are we still separating? Right. Go ahead.
So this is one of those things that especially as we return to everybody, it's a work in progress. So schools are trying to of course abide by the guidance and by the additional supports like the plexiglass in the cafeteria, and then also dealing with the time needed for lunch. So dealing with the number of students that are coming in, we do know that schools are adjusting lunch periods so that they may have multiple lunches instead of having 1 or 2 lunch periods. The reason I know that is because students are reaching out to you and they're saying, "Hey, we love being back in school, but hey, what's with the multiple lunch periods?" Right? So I don't know. They all want to go to lunch together, and I think that's one of the issues. But again, schools are making those decisions in order to at the school level. Now within the cafeteria, the public health guidance that exists is 6 feet still within the cafeterias. And the reason why, of course, is because masks are off and, they want to just, make sure that distance is maintained. However, when they did walk through the cafeterias and the schools with us, earlier this school year, they recommended that, because of the numbers of students and the mask coming off, that if, the plexiglass dividers are not required in our classrooms or in the cafeteria, as part of CDC and public health requirements. But because we did have resources and that became the recommendation because of the mask coming off, they said go ahead and install those if you have the ability to do that. They're not required, but that may help you in your mitigation strategies. So we went ahead and when we had the opportunity during the shutdown and during the cohorts to go ahead and install those dividers. And I think what the schools now are dealing with, and thank you for letting me know, that's one of the other things we'll just have to go back to public health and resolve. It doesn't get rid of the 6 foot distancing, but the kids are probably wondering, why do we have these dividers if we can't adjust the distancing too? So
smart kids.
So let her know that we'll get her some bonus points for a good question.
Thank you.
John, I wanted to follow up on a couple of things. First, the resolution by the Guam Education Board on the finances of GDOE. I believe the shortfall, I can't remember what the amount was, 45 million?
So,
and you were supposed to come up with the plan for that?
Right. So we did meet, so the board, last board meeting was presented with a written plan for how we were going to address the budget shortfall. And essentially, we are going to do our best to leverage federal funds as much as possible to cover areas that have not been covered, that are not able to be funded within our current budget. So we're working through those pieces right now. There are some pieces that we can definitely do already without any further USDOE review. And there are other items that we're just waiting, in discussions with USDOE to review and concur, because, we did submit a plan earlier regarding how we intend to use the funds. And so the modification to that plan is going to need to be just ensure that they're going to concur with that, and then we'll be able to plug that hole. So we do, again, we are working on that, and I think the board is satisfied with the current year's strategy, but as you know, it's really next year's budget that we have to worry about, because right now we do have some of the flexibility with the federal funds that we can use, but again, next year we may not, because as the funds get committed to our capital improvement projects and other items, they won't be available to really address the operational gaps that exist. So I think we just concluded that budget discussion. Our schools are working to submit their budget information for this year, and then in January you can anticipate much more debate and discussion about the coming school year, because our budget is due at the end of January to the legislature, our budget request for the coming school year. And so that's gonna, I was hoping to not have to, really focus on that for a couple of weeks. But now that you reminded me, it just really reminds me that, we're not gonna get much of a break this year before we start those big discussions in a couple of weeks.
When you said federal funds, are you talking about ESF, ARP?
Yeah, we're talking about ESF and ARP funds that are available. Now, again, those funds are really intended to, to support, ESF was really about distance learning, supporting, students through these shutdowns and interruptions in learning. ARP is really focused on reopening schools and getting us back, and recovering learning loss and so forth. So even though there is room for dealing with operational issues, it really isn't the focus of these funds. So when we put our plan together before the budget was finalized, that was our proposal. In order for us to address the operational gaps to get through this current year, we're going to have to, take those funds away from other areas of investment that were planned. So that's the trade-off. We didn't have money set aside that wasn't dedicated to a particular project. But for instance, the funds that you'll see, going into the operational gap are going to come from the investments that we were planning for capital improvements.
Is GDOE expecting to receive anything from the infrastructure law that President Biden signed, or anything in the Build Back Better Act?
So we haven't heard from US DOE yet. The answer is yes. The mechanism is just a mechanism, and the final amounts that need to be verified by our federal agency. So normally, when these funds are allocated, they go by formula to the territories. And so really would need USAID to kind of confirm how much and whether they're going to go through the governor's office or directly through the agency for those programs. But, there was support for broadband investment, to support distance learning. There was support for early childhood investments, so expansion of pre-K. So those types of things we expect to hear more from USAID. We typically hear from them in about March every year when they confirm what resources are available. So hopefully earlier than that, because of this recent bill being signed into law, we'll get more detail, and they can add that to add that to our those resources that we have, and then sort through some of those issues regarding, you get different pots of money, and then you set aside funding for infrastructure, and then they pass an infrastructure bill, and maybe there are opportunities to switch things out and around to make it work better for Guam. And so that's what we're going to be doing once we get that information.
Okay. And isn't it in January when schools are supposed to implement this COVID testing plan for students? Is that still?
Yeah, we're still kind of going through I would say it's not like we've stopped the planning. I mean, there are just a lot of issues related to that, meaning, do we have the capacity to do it? How many, how often? And there's some further questions that need to be answered with public health. But for now, given the focus over the last 2-3 weeks on vaccination for 5 to 11-year-olds, that seems to be the priority right now. And so we're trying to get our heads together around how to assist during this public health emergency on that effort. Again, the way we've always looked at this is, in order to get towards this screening testing goal of 10% of your schools, we're going to have to see how this works first for the employee testing, and that's something that we spent our time implementing and going through the policies and procedures and logistics. And that's for about, I guess, 150 to 200 employees every week. So what we're learning from that, we've had a month to kind of go through that and get information. And, that'll inform us as to how we are going to do this for 2,600, students throughout the school system at all schools. So, it's still something that's in development, and, we need more time or more discussion. I think we'll have to ask them for it. But it really is, it's not an easy thing to do. And I think we need, given what we were doing with vaccinations and the new variant and what we've gone through with the employees, we're probably going to have to talk about where this fits into the overall mitigation strategy for K to 12 in ways that we can actually focus on education and not really, continue to be such a significant public health, support agency. And I think that's been a big challenge for us. And so, getting nurses and staff and other things organized to test 2,600 students, where does that fit, in terms of the other goal of trying to vaccinate as many of them as possible? And how do we go through that process? So I would just say we haven't set a hard deadline for us. And I don't think public health will be willing to kind of work with us on that piece, because that, again, is a proactive preventive measure. Right now, we seem to be focused on the immediate short-term vaccination goals that the government has. And that's going to be a large, issue to get through by itself without, even getting into the screening testing plan.
But isn't that an executive order?
It is, and they've given they say, I think the language there was set a goal of 10% of testing 10%. So, there's some language in these orders that are very direct, and there's some that, leave room for interpretation. So, having a goal of testing 10% is one thing versus actually testing 10%. And so we're going to have to work with them on, if you're going to have us test 2,600, this is the impact that's going to have on us. Where, are there additional resources? Are there going to be sufficient numbers of tests? Do we need this weekly versus quarterly? Those types of things are still in discussion. And, we'll just have to work through that. But again, our last few conversations with public health have really been focused on what seems to be, and Dr. Berg was on your show as well, stressing the urgency of vaccinating 5 to 11-year-olds, stressing the need for GDOE to, I think in his words, step up and take on that challenge. It's not as easy as just saying it. There's a lot that needs to go into it. And because we deal with parents directly all the time, every day, we need to go through a better, more thoughtful planning process if any of that's going to take place.
Right. I did want to see if you would like to react to that really long roundtable hearing that happened, I think it was Tuesday night. You could hear, especially that one parent was, wow, he was really upset. And then you had some of the employees. And is there anything you would like to say to them? I mean, I know that's not,
it's a big issue.
Yeah.
No, it's a big issue. It's a big issue to unpack, really. I mean, it really is a really big issue to unpack. I think the good thing about the hearing was that you had folks from different agencies. So the Department of Administration was involved, the public health was involved. We were there, as well as members of the Guam legislature, because this isn't really a DOE issue by itself. I mean, we are an agency of the government implementing what we believe to be a legally binding order of the governor. And there are many objections that people have in the community to these employee mandates by an employer, and not all of them can be addressed by Department of Education. When it comes to our policies and procedures and improvements to those, perhaps, but when it comes down to things like whether or not an executive order is legally binding because it's not a law, it's a mandate, I mean, I'm not sure I'm going to be the one to resolve that. I have my own opinion, and I think a very informed opinion about whether an executive order is legally binding, and I'm probably not going to be the agency that takes that to court. But others may do that, right? Number two, is an employee mandate for people to be vaccinated? Is that legal? Well, I think that's been demonstrated around the country that employers do have the authority to mandate it. Those are Supreme Court decisions around that issue. Now, of course, there are challenges being made to the federal mandates for private employers, and of course, we'll pay attention to that. But as far as the government implementing it, as states implementing it, employers implementing it for their own employees, that seems to be covered ground already. So, if we want to get into a debate about that, it's kind of hard for DOE to step in and resolve that matter. Going into whether or not, an emergency use authorized vaccine can be mandated versus a fully authorized. Well, again, that's not a GDOE issue. I shared an Office of Legal Counsel opinion to the Department of Justice with the group, that they could read that, because that seems to be what's driving the view that is acceptable. But it's really, again, that's a legal matter. That's something that DOE is not going to be able to resolve as well. So it gets into a lot of different levels. I mean, to the order, to the DOA circular, to the specific requirements, to reasonable accommodations and other things. So, we listen to all the questions and objections and concerns, and we're going to try to, take, further the discussion about, particular issues that do seem do seem to be things that we need to clarify. But there are also a lot of issues that are above my head that really are policy issues that the governor has to decide, and the legislature. They have an opportunity to weigh in and set that policy for the entire government of Guam, because it's not just applies to the entire government.
No,
so the issues that we will be following up with are, number one, there seems to be some processing of exemptions that seems to have, taken, longer than probably needs to have taken, or there seem to be issues regarding the exemptions that are still being addressed at public health. So we do want to follow up on that. I don't think employees should be penalized for going through the process of requesting an exemption and then just having the delay to that exemption impact their ability to come to work. So we promise that if we can resolve that, we can then look at their particular situation and address it. I think the other issue is just determining whether there is going to be a change in the mandate, given that 94% of our employees are fully vaccinated. I mean, is it truly, is public health recommendation that it has to be 100% coverage, or is 94% good enough? I mean, that's a reasonable discussion. And then third, regarding accommodations, what type of accommodations are available, for these employees? I think the senators looked at me and to find an accommodation, and I'm telling them that the accommodation is right there in the circular. So when you pass a law that's very clear, and the governor gives me a directive that's very clear, I don't think there should be a recommendation for me not to follow it. I think that they should look at the source of that, that language, the source of that issue, and then we can work to address that. But again, the senators, if they pass a law that says something very clearly, I'm sure they're not going to tell me to work my way around it. So, I made that point to them, and I think we know that this is an issue that can be dealt with at different levels. But we'll try to do our job and try to address I think there are three employees who are currently on some kind of leave status because of non-compliance. I do agree that there are probably those who are complying with the weekly testing and who may not want to do that, maybe uncomfortable, but are doing it anyway. So, I take that and agree that that's probably true for a portion of those employees. But again, 94% fully vaccinated at this point, 85% before the mandate. So there is also this view that many employees feel that it's a good idea, that in order to keep, our kids and our employees safe, that maximizing vaccination in schools is a good idea. So we have to balance that out as well.
I thought
I've taken an informal Twitter poll to try to get, I'm not going to use that as the basis for, my decision making, but, that is a question worth asking. There is a mandate out there for, employee vaccination. How many of you think it's a good idea and think that it improves safety? How many of you disagree with it? And how many of you don't care? And let's see what people think too, because there are people who think that vaccination does improve safety in the schools.
Yeah. I really found it interesting, some of the points that were brought up by some of the teachers, especially the one from Southern High School, where he also brought up the fact that you're right, he went through the process, submitted the exemptions, and there's a delay, and there's been a delay, especially with these religious exemptions. And then also the fact when he was pointing out, like when he was in class and students, he's a high school teacher, students, they don't have to be vaccinated, right? There's no mandate for students to be vaccinated, and yet he has to be vaccinated. So it's like, so what's the difference? But anyway, yeah.
Well, let me clarify. There is a difference, and I think that's the issue. It's not. I think that we just can't go into these and say there's no difference. I mean, there is a difference in terms of employers requiring their employees to vaccinate. That I think employers have that ability and authority to do that. When it comes to children, we have to balance that against the requirement to provide every child with a free and appropriate public education. So if there's a mandate put on kids, there has to be a lot of thought given as to whether or not that preserves their right to an education. So I do think it's more complicated. And again, I'm not in support of mandating children too, because I think parents have to be a part of that and have to agree. So, that's something that I think is a major step, that needs to be looked at if it's going to even be put on the table. But at the very least, I would anticipate that any consideration of requirement for kids is going to have to take into account the obligation that we have to provide all students with a free and appropriate public education. So there is a difference, with regard to that issue. So yeah, if that was something that someone jumped on quickly and said, yeah, let's just extend it, I'd say, wait a minute, I'd like to hear from the lawyers on that. That's a bigger problem.
And sorry, I just had one more question because I thought it was we had on the Chief Justice Phil Carbolito on earlier this week. We had Chief Judge of the District Court of Guam, Judge Francis Tedenko Gatewood, and we had Carmen Kasperbauer, one of the program coordinators for the specific judicial conference that was held this last week. And I wanted to get, your comments on it with regard to, mental health and family violence.
So, first of all, I'm going to thank our judicial partners for their support. I think I was able to attend virtually for a part of that, and then Deputy Superintendent Erica Cruz spent her time down there face to face, hearing all the presentations. So number one is we can't underestimate the impact that this pandemic has had on our youth mental health. I think from the judicial system, this issue is a long-standing issue because there's a lot of science that goes behind behavior and how mental health affects the propensity to actually commit crimes, right? So there's that's a bigger conversation and a very worthwhile one. But looking at the pandemic and the pandemic's potential to have exacerbated these issues, that is really critical. So, thinking about what we can do within the school system, what we can do in our partnerships to address the mental health needs of our kids is really something that we need to struggle with and grapple with and deal with. So when we're talking about learning recovery, I have to push back with some of our board members and say it's not just about time and acceleration, because I know that for my kids, I have 2 public school students. Part of them going back to 5 days means getting used to going back to school, feeling safe, feeling supported, and having all and being able to get back into a physical routine, get back into a social routine with their peers and with their teachers. Much more important for me than giving them an hour more of math, in that first week for the first 2 weeks. So we can talk about additional time, but the mental health issues are something that we have to deal with immediately, engage, and not pile too much on these kids right now as we're trying to assure them about that this environment is safe for them to return and be with their friends and deal with their teachers. When I think I always refer to this, we had a session with middle school student leaders, and I was just really, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but I was just shocked. The discussion was, for them to think about their future in high school, think about their future after high school. And our middle schoolers were talking about COVID and about physical distancing and cleaning and all these things they had to do to live a normal life as a middle schooler. For us, for those of us who are, in our 30s, right? Older than 30, we know that these couple of years may be a blip in our life, right? It's certainly significant, but we've been through the ups and downs. For these kids, this is almost life-altering, a life-altering period in their life that's going to really shape their mindsets and their approach to what's happening in the future. So we really have to get them away from, being so COVID focused and so anxious about the immediate safety issues. But that's our job, to try to ensure they have a safe environment and get them thinking about the things that kids need to be thinking about at this point. So the one other piece I will put out there, and I'm happy to share it with you on my chat, I sent it to the board and I sent it to my team yesterday as soon as I saw it, is that the U.S. Surgeon General just put out an advisory regarding youth mental health. And definitely when the U.S. Surgeon General puts it out there as a major health issue for the country to decide or to determine, we need to review it, and we need to really figure out how we can do our part in addressing what he's deeming as a national health concern or health crisis. So I sent that to the board and my team to start reviewing that. Let's see what we're doing, what we can do to improve what we're doing. But that's so critical. So thanks for bringing that up.
No, and another reason why I brought it up is because during the recent Guam Education Board meeting, when they were talking about making the decision on when to reopen schools, it was the IBOG member. I forget her name, but she actually brought that up. When we make this decision, I hope you guys take into consideration, our mental health issues. And so that's why I kind of want to ask you about it.
So I guess this is a good plug for Junior Achievement Guam. I was at the Junior Achievement Guam fair this past weekend. And, this this is an opportunity for the kids to, present their business ideas and their products for us to look at, and they compete, the junior achievement competition. So first of all, I was glad that they were able to have this competition and be face to face and do the things that they normally do. But I was really struck by the fact that I think 3 or 4 of the 8 groups that were there really had mental health as a theme, right? And so, I had a long conversation. I think it must have been 3 hours just talking to the kids. But because I was very interested, first of all, how has this impacted you and your friends, and why, and what do you think you can do to address it? So it really sparked a lot of thought, because I think, we always think about what the adults can do and what kind of services we can provide and what kind of medical or psychological help we can offer. But they're talking about what you do from a peer-to-peer standpoint. So if I'm a student, and I'm talking to my fellow students, number one, we want to create a space where we can talk about these issues, right? We want to be aware that there are issues out there. We want to normalize this so it's not a stigma to talk about mental health issues. We want to create a space and time during school to talk about these things, and we need to think about simple therapeutic ways to address it, right? It doesn't have to be medication. It doesn't have to be go out to behavioral health, but what can we do to kind of provide support to our peers around these issues? So I know one group was offering, they did theirs as they took a symbolic, they created a symbol and they put it on some clothing for people to wear and kind of raise awareness. That's great. We had somebody, another group saying, we want to use crystals, right? And we talk about crystals and healing powers of crystals. They wanted to use that as a way to bring attention, and then, use that as a way to open the conversation. Therapeutic candles and other things that were there. So I was actually just impressed by the fact that, number one, they took on an issue that's very timely. I mean, it's always been an issue, but definitely during the pandemic, that they think that they, as young people, can do something about it. It's not just about, hey, let's ask the superintendent how he's going to fix this. And I think we need to think more about how that peer-to-peer support can operate in addition to all the other strategies that we might think about as adults. So yeah, it was really a good opportunity experience to hear directly from these are high school students, public and private school, around across the island. So again, that's my plug for junior achievement. I welcome their invitation. Thanks.
And healing crystals.
Let me follow through with that plug. You can actually watch our Christmas Pops special, because we feature all of the products for the junior achievement students. So.
Great. I hope you agree with me. I was just really struck. It's not a normal. Yeah. It's not a normal. I mean, I would you might. I can see the safety, the sanitizers and stuff like that, and making those convenient. That's great. But the mental health stuff, that's a little more complicated. So it was really good to see.
Thank you, John, so much for your time. It's a lot of information. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Was there something else? Because you look like you had something else. You're good.
No, I mean, I just, we brought up that. We brought up that the mandate that we talked about. That it was from 6 to 11 at night. And I hope that it sheds some light on on that issue and maybe provide some ideas for how to address it. We talked about school reopening, talking about mental health, and so there's just a lot of heavy issues we're dealing with right now. And talking about 5 to 11 vaccination and whether DOE needs to step up and get into that field. It's a big lift, and so I just want to say that we're doing our best. We're doing our part. I think we're going to do okay this month. I hope everybody can have an opportunity to get into the spirit of Christmas and the holidays and have some time to really cherish and spend with their family and friends. And then when we start 2022, we can start off with a brighter outlook. So that's all I wanted to end with, and just thank everybody for their continued support this year. Parents especially, teachers especially, and I think next year we hope to get closer to that light at the end of the tunnel.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you, guys.
There you go, John Fernandez, DOE superintendent.
He needs to get a beer this weekend. Just chill. He's busy.
Hey, 9:28. Let's go over to the phones where we have the education chair of the Guam legislature, Senator Talina Nelson, on the line. Good morning, Senator.
Hi, good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing today?
We're doing very good. We're so glad you could join us, Senator. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to touch a little bit on the roundtable hearing we had Tuesday night, and I think the superintendent pretty much summed it up. You know, there were concerns with the way the frequency of the testing was being handled, and so we had this opportunity to allow those teachers that are it's very prevalent that they're experiencing undue stress because of this extra mandate to get tested weekly if they're not vaccinated. In one instance, we had a teacher that quit her job, resigned from her job, because the mandate she felt was very difficult to, and also the reasoning and the logic we were trying to clarify with DPHSS why the frequency was a week. And you know, there are some agencies that people spoke about that they're not being tested weekly, and so really it's just a matter of seeing if we asked DPHSS to take a look with their technical team, their MedOps team, and to see if they can adjust the frequency of testing. It was also brought up that the COVID-19, that if you contract COVID, that after 90 days you'll get tested again. So we were just kind of understanding the logic and some of the questionable actions in the mandates of the testing itself.
So it sounds like you just kind of walked away with even more questions.
Right, but we do have some areas that we would target, right? And so we asked DPHSS to meet, and they meet every Monday and Friday. And so we're going to follow up with them next week and see what the resolve is as far as the frequency of the testing.
What was their response, though, when that question was posed?
That really all I got from it was just a decision that they made, and that they recommend to the governor, and then the governor issues the mandate. And so in some government executive branch agencies, there's not this type of requirement or it's not enforced where they're testing weekly for those that are not vaccinated. And what was really surprising, but it was not said at the roundtable, but it was put in the chat in the forum that we had, and it said that there are 148 employees that also feel the same way, but they're afraid to speak up as well. And that's understandable. So that was one thing is we're looking to change the frequency of testing. I don't understand why, we are testing them with expired kits in the first place, even though that they were approved to go ahead and move forward with testing with the expired kits as far as what was the manufacturer's statement, according to Mr. Chimas. So we will see by next week what they would decide on that case. And I understand that the position of the superintendent having to follow through with these mandates, and I respect that. But if you have a good part of your certified teachers who are struggling with this, especially during a teacher shortage, there is the opportunity to speak up and say, can we transition? Do we have to do this weekly testing? It's causing undue stress to them, and we talked about mental health. We've been talking about mental health the whole COVID-19 during the whole pandemic. We've been asking GDOE to reach out to the students and seeing how their state of health was. And so this is not something new. This is something that we've been pushing since the pandemic, and I'm glad that they're taking steps to address the issue today, and that's something that shows that we're heading in the right direction.
What were you satisfied when you heard about the exemptions, right? The religious exemptions. I think that's what was it, Bruce, that kind of brought up from Southern High School, and the fact that he said that he had submitted the paperwork, and then when he followed up, it wasn't even there. And
yeah, so and we did ask DPHSS, and so they had some challenges, ensuring that the legal aspect of these exemptions were complete. And so they do have exemptions for other vaccines, but just not for the COVID vaccine. So this is something that they needed to process. But my concern was, okay, so now that you're trying to figure it out, it's been several months already, can you please expedite this process? And if teachers had to take leave or if employees had to take leave, we asked the superintendent, perhaps one of the things you can consider is reimbursing that leave. And it's not an unknown practice, especially in the federal government when they furloughed employees. When the money came in, they just went ahead and paid them the days that they were furloughed. And so, these are some of the accommodations that we can make for these teachers. And in some instances, some teachers who are not vaccinated, it's their day to test and they don't feel like testing. And so they'd have to wait another week. So then they're missing in the classroom for a week. But if teachers feel the next day that, they're mentally ready to test again, to get tested for COVID, and they're not vaccinated, they should be afforded that opportunity. But that opportunity is not there for some of the teachers in their schools. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that we're also working towards.
Mm-hmm. There was a parent, Sam on, and he kept on pressuring Chima about this CT level. Do you plan on, I guess, following? There's a question here. Do you plan on looking further into that?
Yes, absolutely. So the CT threshold was between 45, and 48, and so really the question was, what has been the CT for the past 18 months? And so we're going to follow up on that. It was something new to me. We actually had to research, and we're still reading up on it now, on the importance or the relevance of what CT is and why is it important and what would be the right number that we should be looking at, or calibrating the machine to detect. And so we are following up with that with DPHSS for the past 18 months. What were their calibrations of CT? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So we're trying to make some movement. We're working with DPHSS and GDOE to ensure that there's no discrimination amongst those that are not vaccinated, and that seems to be the crux of the matter, is that they feel that they are singled out. They feel that it's a coercion technique to get tested weekly, so that eventually they will get their vaccinations. And I also inquired what is the percentage threshold that you will say, okay, you don't need to get tested if more than 90% of Guam's population has already received the vaccine? What is this threshold where you start lessening the restrictions on those that are not vaccinated? And they're still examining that, and I think that a lot of their efforts have been used also to advocating for the child vaccine. And I specifically stated to the superintendent that I hope that if they start pushing a mandate for the child vaccine, that they need to get input from the teachers and all of their employees, and also from the parents, because we've had a lot of parents call our office or even visit us and say, I don't want to vaccinate my child just yet. We don't know the long-term effects of this vaccine. Mm-hmm. And so, that's a concern too. So before those decisions are made, and I'm hoping that they don't move forward with the mandate until they get the whole public to understand really what the vaccine will do, and to get the voice of the parents to see if, they're in agreement with it. A lot of them are worried that they're going to get that their children will get either tested and vaccinated without their consent. And so we just want to stay alert and stay vigilant to ensure that those types of mandates do not happen without public consent or without parental consent.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you. And we will be having an oversight hearing. So we will be having an oversight hearing on GDOE's finances on December 15th, I believe, at 10 a.m. Mm-hmm. Only because, it's the second month and they're already claiming a shortfall. So we're just trying to understand, with the $283 million they received extra from the ARP and then another $100+ million coming down from the infrastructure bill, and then the CARES 1 and 2. Where did all the money go, and why in the second month of the fiscal year are we saying that there's a shortfall when we appropriated them for their maintenance of effort? And which was interesting because we were calculating a higher number, and GDOE came with a lower number. So the Office of Finance and Budget went ahead and said, okay, this is the number you're giving us, so to meet your maintenance of effort. And that's just curious too, because we've asked them if they've sent any request for a maintenance of effort waiver, and I don't believe they have. So we're just going to have an oversight, try to understand where all the money is going and how it's being spent.
Well,
all right. Yeah.
We'll look forward to watching that.
Bring your magnifying glass.
Yes.
All
right.
Thanks,
you very
Senator.
much.
Merry
Have a good
Christmas.
day. Merry Christmas, you guys.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Senator, let us know if you want to come back and Christmas Carol before Christmas, because Jason's still talking about your singing.
Yeah, hi, Senator. I keep telling everybody you have a lovely singing voice when you let us in the Little Drummer Boy.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you. Have a good day, you
You
guys.
too, Senator.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're so kind, Jay. It's 9:40.
It's what we do here on the show.
It is. We do kindness.
You know who's kind too? Our friend Samantha Titan.
Yes, she is very kind.
Yeah.
Especially for holding on for so long.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's got so many virtues to her. She's a great leader. She's doing wonderful things with the community. And she's incredibly patient,
Yep,
as we've
that's
seen
up
this
there.
morning. Hi, Sam. Good morning. And thanks for holding on, because Sam has actually been in the Zoom room for quite a while now.
For a minute.
Yeah. But with good reason, because, Sam, you are doing an amazing thing. This Breakfast with Santa Christmas box. Phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah. So good morning, everyone, and thanks so much. It was quite a wait, but it was an interesting conversation. We actually do prevention programs in the school that also kind of touch on mental health. So when you were sort of talking about that with Mr. Fernandez, it was just, kind of always all of these different issues and all of these different ways that the organizations and the community and the government support the youth. So it was great to listen into it.
Oh, Sam, on that note, could you maybe just give us a little bit about some of the programs that you guys do at the schools?
Yes. So right now, what we do is we do prevention education at the 4th and 5th grade level. So right now we're working in 3 schools. The prevention education that we focus primarily on, it's meant to be tobacco and alcohol prevention. But the curriculum that we use, which is called Positive Action, actually touches on a bunch of different things, such as mental health. The curriculum is really about teaching kids how to have a good self-concept, how to feel positive about themselves. And it really kind of ties into this idea that if a child feels positive about themselves, they're going to make positive choices in their lives. So, yeah.
That's great.
It is a virtuous cycle. I mean,
Right.
And iron sharpens iron, like we say. You teach kids, something really, really smart. They're not only going to implement it in their own life practice, they're going to teach the next generation too.
Yes.
Well, as part of that, like one of the again, the virtues that we have in our community is giving back and everything. So this Breakfast with Santa Christmas box, I've actually been on your Eventbrite page for the last few minutes while we've been having you waiting and everything. This is a tremendous idea. Can you tell us, like, before we get into what's exactly inside it, because that's amazing, but what gave rise to this idea and how can people get involved?
Okay, so before last year, before the pandemic, we used to always have our annual Breakfast with Santa event where we would rent out a ballroom, we would have breakfast, Santa would be there, and then throughout the entire room, you'd have different activity stations such as ornament decorating, cookie decorating, just all kinds of Christmas crafts. So it was just like Christmas craft explosion with breakfast and Santa. But then because of the pandemic, we decided, we still want to bring that spirit and that fun to the community and to the families, but we wanted to keep it in a safe way. So starting last year, so this is the second year that we're doing it, we decided to do our Breakfast with Santa Christmas box.
Very
So
nice.
that's what
And I've got this up here. So you guys, we've already put the link in the comments right now if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube. So you guys make sure you go and reserve these boxes, because I'm just going to read off a couple of these bullet points, Sam, and then you can fill in the rest. But there is a cookie decorating kit, as you just mentioned, an ornament decorating kit, a Christmas card making kit, and pancake mix and syrup. Okay, I'm in. You had me at pancakes. I'm in. fa la 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 and all that stuff. How can I help? Take my money, please.
Yes. So our boxes are really meant for a family of 4. So all of those kits, the cookie decorating kit, the Christmas card, there's the ornament making. We actually additionally have like a little candy cane reindeers. We have Christmas crafts. All of those are meant for a family of 4. So you're going to have 4 cookies, 4 Christmas cards, 4 ornaments. You're going to have all of the markers, crayons, paint, pencils, all in there to do all of the crafts. And then along with that, to kind of keep with that breakfast theme, we still have pancakes, syrup, we have hot cocoa, and then there's going to be some additional cookies, and then lots of little goodies in there. So we have those silicone poppers. And we also have some really nice gifts from Tea Galleria that are going to be in the boxes. And then just some gift certificates and other things from some of our very generous sponsors. So it's actually a really fun packed box meant for a family of 4. If there's 2 of you, then that just means more things for you to do.
Twice as many cookies and twice as many pancakes.
Yeah, so, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And then you can bring all of that home and then do it at your own time. You can kind of, I know some people last year sort of did it throughout the week leading up towards Christmas, or kind of like the weeks leading up towards Christmas, so that you can kind of just spread out all of the fun. And then, of course, make those pancakes whenever you like. So, yeah, I mean, it's a totally fun box. And really the funds that we raise go directly to our organization and to supporting our local community. So we are grant funded, but there are just certain things that grants don't cover. And so our one-to-one youth mentoring program is one of those programs where, we don't really get a lot of grant support for. So a lot of the activities that we have for our mentors and our mentee matches, and all of those kinds of activities, this is what that money is really going towards.
And considering this is for, an entire family unit, you get this all for the low price of only $54.67. And we've actually got it up on screen right now, Sam. And so you can go to the link that we shared in comments once again. It's an Eventbrite based, let's call it reservation ordering system. And everybody knows Eventbrite because that's how you can make your vaccination, your booster reservations these days, go to concerts when that was still a thing. But you can actually set this up, and then it's going to be curbside pickup, right, Sam?
Yes, so it'll be curbside pickup this Saturday. It'll be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at M80 Systems, one of our really great sponsors this year. And if you're unsure about that location, it's in Barragata, kind of across from the Tees entrance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually convenient because if you are heading from like MTM, you could hit that parking lot that M80's in and then just be back right on the freeway.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
And they are going all out with the decorations outside. So if you have your kids with you or your grandkids with you, you can always just kind of stroll through and they'll be able to see some of the wonderful things that M80 is putting outside for that day.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, because again, I'm so into like the pancakes and the hot cocoa and everything like that. Is the intent for this to be like a family activity on Christmas Eve, or could they even do it maybe like leading up to or Christmas Day even?
Yeah. So definitely for the cookies. We recommend doing that kind of immediately, either the day that you pick it up or over the weekend. But for everything else that is not edible, like the pancake mix, you can make that whenever. You can have that at Christmas morning or, throughout the week. Like I mentioned, some people kind of spread out all of the different activities for the different nights kind of leading up to Christmas, or you can do them all at one time. As a family.
Okay, yeah, because like Chris said, you can go back onto MTM. By the time I hit, like, again, the freeway, the cookies are gone. I'm eating the cookies in the car.
Oh, but they're cookie so there's going to be actual cookies, and then there's cookie decorating kits. So you're going to want to, get kind of crafty with those ones.
Very nice. Okay, now I'm just assuming because, there's so much love and craftsmanship that goes into this and everything. We would like for every single Guamanian, every man, woman, and child on the island to have one, but there probably is a finite number of boxes, so it is kind of imperative that you hit this Eventbrite page right now and get yours for your family as soon as possible.
Yes. Like you mentioned, we do have a limited amount of boxes. We do still have some left, so I recommend hitting Eventbrite now and just kind of ordering the boxes that you want. I know that we've had several people order boxes for friends to kind of give to their families as gifts as well. which is also great. Some of the families are doing sort of like an extended family where there's several boxes and they have the kids all come together and do the activities as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's the pickup is going to be, that's this Saturday from 8 to 12 over at M80 Systems again, across from more or less the entrance to Tejan over there. Sam, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah,
of course, Sam, anytime.
Yeah, everything you guys do touches our community in such like, in such a positive way and everything like that. So we're really in your debt, and we wish you and your team over there the happiest of holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
All right, bye-bye. You too, Sam. Take care.
Right. Hey, it's 9:49. Count on us for life. Cowboys Insurance, 671-637-0094. We got some great prize packages for you guys, so let's go ahead and end the show on a winning note. Call now. Tell us who you count on in your life and why. And we will have for you this morning a Hilton Guam Resort gift certificate, $25 of gas at Shell. We've got Pyology. We've got Honolulu Coffee Company. And we need to get a few winners. So call in now, 671-637-0094. And we'll go ahead and take a break and come back with some winners for Cowboys Insurance and the Count on Us for Life contest right here on The Link. Good morning.
KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time off each Friday to talk, taste, and tempt you with all the latest and greatest food and drinks on Guam, old faves, new hits, and everything else we can put in our bellies. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link, brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Devondale. Real milk from free grazing cows. Catch Sports Link on the KUAM News Morning Show, The Link, every Friday for the latest sports news, game schedules, athlete profiles, and more. Sports Link airs every Friday across the multi-platforms of KUAM. Tune in to the broadcast on Breeze 93.9 FM, on KUAM TV 11, live stream through the KUAM News Facebook page, or view highlights on YouTube, KUAM News Facebook, and Instagram page. Sports Link is brought to you by Mariana's Irrigation and Landscape.
Attention basketball fans, the wait is over. Clutch Guam presents the second annual McDonald's High School Basketball Classic, going down December 20th to January 8th at the Father Duenas Jungle. Make sure you come through to watch some high school boys and girls varsity division action. You do not want to miss out. Special thanks going out to KUAM Sports. We'll see you there.
Coors Light presents Uproar, the Sleigh Game Edition, Saturday, December 18th at Custom Fitness to compete head-to-head to determine who's the fittest. Visit guamtime.net. To purchase tickets for $15, visit us online. Special thanks to KUAM Communications, Boca Box, Custom Fitness, Kill Cliff, Cherry Media Vision, ERC, and A-Tech Construction. Proceeds to benefit the Guam Volleyball Federation.
Let's get merry during the most wonderful time of the year by making spirits bright. KUAM Communications and Coast 360 want to highlight your decorations and lights by flooding the social media pages of KUAM with your videos and photos. Finish your holiday setup, snap a few shots or video of your delightful display, and send it to us through social media or email them to promotions@KUAM.com. Check out our posts every Friday or tune in to KUAM News Weekend Edition for a special montage of the submissions certain to be making spirits bright with every broadcast. Warmest holiday wishes from KUAM Communications and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
It's time to save on shipping. Support our local entrepreneurs. Find the best steals, deals, and unique products for your holiday shopping needs. The Christmas Pops virtual holiday marketplace is your hub for the best local gifts. Watch the Christmas Pops special airing through December 11th and streaming now across the stations and platforms of KUAM Communications. Visit KUAMChristmasPops.com and be on the lookout for local business profiles on our social media pages. Shop small and support local this holiday season.
Presented by UOG School of Business and Public Administration, JA Guam, inspiring youth, and the Guam Visitors Bureau, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
The Novena to the Christ Child, a podcast series on KUAM Communication, a local Christmas tradition reimagined with all 9 days available on demand on the KUAM Podcast Network beginning December 6th and streaming on all our digital media platforms as well as nightly at 7 p.m. on Isla Digital Radio.
Well, I didn't get screened because I was just afraid of it.
I procrastinated.
I didn't have any symptoms.
I didn't have insurance.
I didn't want to know.
There were several services that was available to me.
I got a mammogram.
Colonoscopy.
I know in my heart that early detection saved my life.
And I just tell people all the time, please go get screened.
The holidays are here, and you know what that means. Time to gather with family and friends, dress up our homes, and explore the Christmas season in paradise. Why not share these moments for a chance to win $100 in cash? Log on to visitguam.com/Instaguam today to participate in the Guam Visitors Bureau's #Instaguam photo and video contest. A winner will be chosen every week, so share your best holiday moments now and win. Brought to you by GVB, making Guam a better place to live, work, and visit.
Basically, my life was a revolving door of just getting drugs, using drugs. My name is Anne-Marie Sablan. I'm 26 years old, and I'm a student at Guam Community College, about to graduate with my associate's degree in human services. Got my high school diploma with GCC's Adult High program. The staff there is very helpful. They're very friendly, and it became like a family dynamic. It's possible for anybody, especially people like me who struggle with addiction.
Welcome back to The Link, everybody. It's time to make someone's day, and if you would, we would love to hear your story about how you can count on someone through thick and thin, positive and negative times, good times and bad, sunny weather and storms, for sickness or health.
Till death do us part.
Till death do us part. That whole
Might as well finish that last part for you, Jay.
That shows the commitment, right? And so we want to know, who can you count on? Please give us a call. 671-637-0094 is the hotline. And we want to set you up with a gift certificate to the Hilton Guam Resort and to Shell. So please give us a call. And of course, Calvo's, throughout the month and throughout the holiday season, are celebrating people we can count on throughout life as well. They're giving away amazing prizes, and the grand prizes are super awesome, you guys. So go to calvos.com and register there as well.
And it's so easy to win. I mean, you just call and you win. It's basically, that's it. 671-637-0094, and tell us who you count on in your life and why.
You use your fingers to dial.
Is that how it works?
You use your mouth to talk to us. Then you use your heart to share your story.
Amen.
And then you're going to use your mouth to eat this wonderful food that we got.
Bree, they can also enter at calvos.com, right?
Yeah, you can enter at calvos.com, and they have 3 wonderful grand prizes. The first grand prize, it's a hotel stay at Loti Hotel Guam. So that's for the person that wins. And then the nominator, they also win gift certificates. The second grand prize is, second and third actually, is $1,000 shopping spree at Payless. The catch is you got to shop for $1,000 worth of stuff within 3 minutes.
Man.
Yeah, and so that's for the winner. And then again, for the person that nominates the winner, you win $250 worth of gift certificates to Payless. I think it's $250, yeah, and gas cards. So that's calvos.com. If you don't win on the show, you can always go online.
Right now I'm thinking, how many, if I had to fill a shopping cart with $1,000 of stuff, how many pizza rolls in those bags, with the 48 count?
Pizza rolls.
And cans of soup.
Okay.
Let's go to the phones here, where we hopefully will get a winner. Hi, welcome to the show. What's your name?
Mike.
Mike, good morning. Can you turn on your radio? Down, please, a little.
Got it.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Mike.
Morning.
Good morning.
So who do you count on in your life and why, Mike?
My wife.
And why?
She's been my number one supporter. She's been there through it all. She's seen my good and bad, and she stayed. She's still here.
How long have you guys been married, Mike?
Just over a little bit over a year, going on 2 years.
Very nice. How long have you guys known each other?
More than 10 years.
Wow.
Nice.
So you had a little bit of some test driving there before you made it official,
We knew
right?
each other for like over 10 years. We dated for about 4 and then finally decided to get married. So.
Right on.
What's your wife's name, man?
Kailani.
Kailani?
Yeah.
Right on. So does Kailani know that you feel this way about her?
I hope so.
I mean, do you tell her? I mean, do you tell her?
I mean, I tell her I love her every day, but I don't know. Does she think I mean it, or?
Well, you know what, Mike? I'm sure she knows already because you seem like a really, really good guy. We can just tell in your voice. But if for some strange reason she doesn't know, if you tell her, hey, babe, get in the car, we're going to go for a stroll.
Yep.
And you already show her that you've got $25 of gas from Shell, and then you're going to the Hilton to bring her there because we're hooking you up with those 2 gift certificates. She's going to know for sure, my friend.
Okay, it's like a Christmas gift.
There you go. So congratulations and thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Oh, hold on, all right? Don't hang up. Hold on.
All right. Well, congratulations, Mike. We're going to go ahead and get a couple winners here. 671-637-0094. Okay, call now. Guys, the show's been brought to you by Pacific Points, Cowboy Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. KUAM TV, it's been great. For Joe, sir, my name is Chris.
I'm Sabrina.
I'm Jason. Please stay safe, everybody. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
All right. Yep, on the link. Until then, hasta. Adios!
The holidays